54%. Chapter 141 Speculation on the Amplification Mechanism. This is the function of the national sect leader system. As for the 100-fold amplification system, the second system that was only bound behind Li Fan, after this period of time, Li Fan also had some guesses about its function and origin. Its origin can be said to be extremely mysterious. Like the national sect leader system, it was silently bound to Li Fan, and it seemed that no one else was bound to this system except for his accident. In the two crises encountered by Li Fan, the first time in the Redridge Stone Forest was the sect leader system that actively burned the heavenly Tao merits in his body to resist the monster that occupied his body. But in the end, as the merits in his body were exhausted, he still relied on the supernatural powers he obtained to master the five thunders and completely wiped out the monsters in his body. And it can be said that the five thunder supernatural powers that accompanied him to grow up to the present were brought to him by the hundredfold amplification system. Heavenly Tao rewards can also increase. This system is indeed extremely powerful. During the second crisis, it was the first time that he deviated from the national sect leader system and the existing practice system in this world. Passing through all 720 acupoints of oneself and stepping into the foundation building realm, when God's punishment came to the world and hundreds of weird people gathered to besiege him. That time, the sect leader system of the whole nation produced a slight rejection of him, and even the heavenly Tao merit that should be rewarded to him for killing the weird was unwilling to land on him and merge with him. In the end, the 100 times amplification system broke out with a powerful suppressive force, suppressing the sect leader system and the heavenly Tao merits. From this, Li Fan drew some conclusions. First of all, the national system is not connected with the 100 amplification system, but may be a hostile relationship. Because the national system has some ambiguous relationship with heavenly Tao, and that time he was promoted to the foundation building realm and descended from the sky above the heavenly punishment, the hundredfold increase system in his body suddenly fluctuated sharply, showing extreme disgust and opposition to the heavenly punishment. Li Fan's thoughts quickly turned. Heavenly Tao, the national system, the realm, the immortal way, the hundredfold increase system, the dispute over the orthodoxy. Do these two systems represent a war between two orthodoxy in this world? It seems that this is indeed possible, and Li Fan is shocked by the conclusion he has drawn. If this is the case, this kind of battle is not something he can participate in as a small foundation building cultivator, and even if he gets involved in it, he will definitely end up with a crushing fate. Li Fan pressed this conclusion to the bottom of his heart and no longer thought about it. It was useless to think about this kind of thing. Only when he became stronger would he have a choice. The most important thing now is how to use these two systems that may be hostile to each other and ascension own strength as much as possible. Li Fan turned his head to summarize the functions of the next 100 times amplification system. As far as we know, the heavenly Tao rewards can be increased, and the gains from killing weirdness can be increased. However, the items purchased with merits in the Star Palace cannot be increased, the items purchased by the System Trading Bank cannot be increased, and the increased items that he has experimented with cannot be triggered by the disciple. Items such as elixir and spirit weapons made will not increase. To sum up, the first possibility is that all the items he obtains directly or indirectly through the increase, no matter how many hands they pass, and what form they are converted into, from the elixir to the medicine pill, they will not start to increase the increase. The second possibility is that only the things he obtained can increase, but the purchased things cannot increase. The third possibility is that for reasons of hostility between the two systems, things purchased and exchanged in the national system will not be increased by the hundredfold increase system. Li Fan can't make accurate judgments about the reason, but without exception, he wants to rely on his left hand to turn his right hand in these situations, increase the purchase of things in the System Trading Bank, and then sell them in an infinite loop. Impossible to exist. There is no such a loophole for him. And he took out the things he exchanged in the Star Palace and sold them to the local sect forces outside the system, and the resources he harvested might be increased, so it seems. The most suitable way for him now is to establish trading channels with these forces and use merit to purchase these precious items needed by Sect in exchange for the increase in resources such as spirit stones and elixir. This is a relatively good road. Li Fan decided that after finishing the Southern Moon Valley issue, he must open up the road of export trade. Only by making the difference in trade can people get rich faster. Li Fan sighed. This is similar to his previous life. Just when Li Fan was thinking about how to gather the wool of the two systems, making a difference to make him develop faster, and then chatting with Ji Ning with his own mind. Chu Bianshan brought Lu Yu to the Great Hall. Leader Li, sect leader. The two saluted. Li Fan nodded. Ji Ning asked, "What's the matter?" The two Chu Bianshan glanced at Li Fan, and then didn't care. They had to tell Li Fan about this. The two recounted what happened outside of the Great Hall. "You mean, the sect leaders who left just now come back specifically to ask the Purity Palace for a place to practice in the extreme fire?" Ji Ning asked in surprise. How embarrassed they to say it, this map that records the extreme fire land was bought by his Purity Palace for 480,000 spirit stones. They haven't gone in yet, so why let them go in for free to practice and think beautifully? Tell them that I am still sure that the extreme fire land exists or not. The route recorded on this map is too broad and it takes time to find it. I will talk about it later. Ji Ning waved his hand and said to the two. The two nodded, preparing to turn and leave. Wait, Li Fan said, two elders, who brought this up first? It's not that who mentioned it first, it was brought up by all sect leaders together. Chu Bianshan replied. That's weird, they were all put forward. They were discussed long ago. But at that time, no one in the parliament followed the parliament and raised them in front of sect leader, but after they left, they turned around and came back. Bring it up again, Li Fan said lightly. Ji Ning on one side listened to Li Fan's words, and their minds turned. Yes, if these people had already discussed it, it would not be better to tell the matter in front of Ji Ning. Why have to wait until the parliament is over and go, and then find it back again? Isn't this a superfluous act? Could it be that something happened in the middle that they didn't know? When the three of them were still thinking about it, Li Fan took out the jade talisman that was slightly hot in his arms, showing a clear look on his face. Sure enough, there was someone behind it. 54%. Chapter 142. Ji Ning stepping into Dao realm. Wanbajai Jiao Yu guides the sects to put pressure on the Pure Palace, seeking a place to enter the land of extreme fire. Li Fan revealed the message on the jade talisman to several people. Wanbajai really seems to have a big problem. The sect has always been relatively silent before, but this time it is so eager to get all the sects to enter the land of extreme flames. It is too strange, Ji Ning said solemnly. Chu Bianshan and Lu Yu also looked ugly. If they hadn't been reminded by Li Fan before, it would be difficult for them to find out what was wrong with this matter. However, at the auction, Li Fan explained to the extreme fire land. This time, Wanfajai's disciples openly guided other sects into the extreme fire land in the Purity Palace. Even if they believed in Wanfajai's old sect, they had no choice but to do so at this moment. Suspect there is a problem. In this case, why don't I wait in, please, the sect leader from Wanbajai? Chu Bianshan said in a cold voice. Don't worry first. Ji Ning and Li Fan shook their heads at the same time. The two looked at each other, and Ji Ning said, I don't know what Meng Li's opinion is. It seems that Ji sect leader already has an idea, so I won't show my ugliness. Li Fan smiled slightly. Seeing Li Fan's intention to remain silent, Ji Ning reluctantly said, since Wanfajai deliberately guides everyone to the extremely hot spot, we still don't know what their plans are, so it's better to plan first. Sect leader, isn't that right in the arms of Wanfajai? If there is a problem with the map of the extremely fireplace, or there is any danger in it, it will not be a heavy loss if I wait to go and be ambushed. Lu Yu said. Then Wanfajai has been thinking about this matter for a long time, and now the various factions have clearly known that I have a map that allows them to see the realm of Dao. If I insist on blocking it, then all the people who have managed to suppress Leader Li on the 100 Sects Council's criticism against my Purity Palace will probably erupt even more violently. So the best way now is to take them to the so-called fairyland. Quote. Ji Ning was somewhat helpless on the face. Wanfajai can be said to be a very good and clever use of the people's psychology, and is sure that they have to accept the embarrassment of the current awkward situation of the Qingjing Palace. But if I wait to bring all the masters away, they really have a problem in that extremely hot place. The consequences are for my purification palace to bear. Lu Yu said. Even so, I have to go, it's useless to avoid it. Ji Ning said with cold eyes. Hearing what Ji Ning said, Chu Bianshan and Lu Yu were also worried. This situation of knowing that the other party dug a hole and you still have to jump is making them too uncomfortable. Especially Lu Yu. His two thick eyebrows became a mess at this time, if it hadn't been for the map that I had taken the map. Okay, I don't blame you for this. The news that Wanbajai released the extremely hot place at the time was also the one I asked you to take the map. It's not helpful to say that it has happened. Ji Ning patted it, Lu Yu's shoulder, and then said again. Besides, my Purity Palace is not that easy to bully. If Wanfa Jai really thinks that our Purity Palace is the fish on the chopping board to be slaughtered by others, then they will pay the price. Ji Ning's energy condensed, a mysterious feeling. Dao Yun of Dao came out from him. Li Fan's complexion was as usual, with no wave of expression on his face. Lu Yu and Chu Bianshan on the side looked surprised. Sect leader, you have entered the realm. Ji Ning nodded and smiled without saying a word. With Ji Ning's affirmative reply, the worry on their faces was half gone, completely occupied by excitement. All cultivators start from stepping on the road of cultivation, refining, washing the marrow, changing blood, until innate, a total of 7 realms, that is, the martial realm. Among them, the more time and resources they will spend in each realm. Moreover, not only does it rely on a little pill to make the road unimpeded, but from time to time, everyone encounters a different bottleneck. Some people lack the training of fighting, and some people don't know enough about their own roads. Some people don't know the way of owning, but some people don't have enough mental training on the road of practice, and they don't have a perfect Tao heart. But without exception, no matter what kind of bottleneck is like a heavy rock, it is separated by the cultivator on the way forward, making it difficult for them to deposit. If they want to step into the higher realm, they have to break through the impenetrable barriers and break their own bottleneck. In this way, there are very few cultivators that can enter the innate realm, and the entire Kanglan domain cultivator sect is unknown, and whoever finally enters the innate realm is not one of the leaders and the arrogant of all factions. But even so, the innate realm cultivator of all the schools of Kanglan domain combined is only a mere 44 people, and every cultivator who steps into the innate realm will not be younger than 50 years old. But many of these more than 40 innate realm cultivators have entered innate realm for a long time. Some people have been squandering this realm for 20 or 30 years and can't find their way forward. In the end, they can only watch their own energy and blood slowly decay. There is no longer a chance to enter the Tao realm. Now his own sect leader has entered the Tao realm that many people dream of in their entire lives at the age of only 55, which makes them not excited. Who else in the Kanglan domain can have the talents of their sect leader? Of course, apart from the perverted Li Fan, Chu Bianshan and Lu Yu peeped at the overly youthful Li Fan, and sighed in their hearts. In this way, it is safe. Sect leader, you have entered the Tao realm, and League Master Li is still an extraordinary Tao realm cultivator. You and League Master Li will explore the land of extreme fire together, even if the land of extreme fire is Longtan Tiger Cave. I broke in. Chu Bianshan said excitedly. Lu Yu is also difficult to maintain. Our Purity Palace can also be promoted to the 5th rank power soon. This time the 10 regions have a greater chance of entering the top 10 than our Purity Palace. Ji Ning smiled slightly and looked at Li Fan and said, "Thank you for the Broken Realm pill of Leader Li. Without the help of Broken Realm, I don't know how many years I will waste in innate realm." Ji Ning finished. A deep salute to Li Fan. This is not because of Li Fan's strength, nor is it because of the leader's position. This is just because Li Fan gave him the opportunity to step into a higher realm, which is a kind of grace. You know, the difference between Wujing and Daojing is the difference between cloud and mud. Martial realm cultivator will never be out of the ordinary for a long time. It is just a process of tempering oneself, and cannot be called transcendent. The Tao state is different. The cultivator that enters the Tao state can be regarded as the real way to enter the cultivator. The spirit power in the body can be transformed into Tao power to fly into the sky and escape the ground. A cultivator like Ji Ning, who has just entered the Tao, has enough Tao power in his body to fly thousands of miles above the sky, and as his realm grows deeper and deeper, the Tao power in his body will become more powerful. Out of the imagination of mortals. So Wu Jing is nothing more than a mud puddle on the side of the road, while Dao Jing is a vast and boundless world. Not to mention other things, a cultivator like him who has just stepped into the realm of Wen Dao has a lifespan of 3 times that of innate realm, reaching a lifespan of 1,500 years. Moreover, although the martial realm peak cultivator can live for more than 500 years, the qi and blood in his body will decline as he gets older, and his strength will begin to decline when he reaches 100 years old. And once the blood begins to decline, it loses the possibility of further progress. The Taoist cultivator is different. This realm's cultivator has a lifespan of 1,500 years. Even at the moment when it is about to sit down, it can keep its energy and blood strength at its peak without any decline. This can really be regarded as transcendence otherworldly. 54%. Chapter 143 Calm Before the Storm. Chu Bianshan and Lu Yu's excited minds slowly calmed down. Li Fan and Ji Ning also discuss the details of exploring the extreme fire land together. The general situation remains the same. You still have to take the rest of the sect masters to enter, not just him and the people from the Purity Palace. But Li Fan bluntly said that there is no need to bring all the hundreds of sect leaders, only those representatives of sect. After all, the fact that there is no accurate location of the extremely hot place on the map can also be a good excuse, and it is a waste of time for a group of people to go to things that have not yet been settled. It's better to select a few people who are trusted by others to walk with the people in the Purity Palace. After finding the extremely hot place and confirming that there is no danger in it, it will not be too late for everyone to enter together. In the end, Ji Ning decided to give 8 places to the people of 100 sects, and let them choose the trustworthy people themselves, and explore the extremely hot place with the Qingjing Palace. The rest can just wait for the news. Ji Ning asked Chu Bianshan to inform the sect leaders who were still waiting for news outside the Great Hall of the Purity Palace. The people of each sect did not criticize after receiving the news, and they all agreed to Ji Ning's arrangement. Anyway, as long as the existence of the extreme fire land was confirmed, the rest of them could also enter. It's also good not to have to do that kind of pathfinding hard work. As long as the selected people can make sure that they can rest assured that they will not cooperate with the Pure Palace to deceive them. The people of 100 sects had been entangled and discussed for a long time because of these 8 places, and finally an hour later, everyone confirmed these places. Among them, there are 4 people in the 6th rank sect, and the other 4 people are in the 7th rank sect. It ensures that sect has both high and low strengths, and they are all well-known sect forces. Originally, the person from Wanfajai was also selected as one of them, but Mufang deliberately shrugged off and said that there were other things to be busy, so this time he went to the extremely hot place and did not participate. When everyone goes to the land of extreme fire to practice together, it will not be too late for them to go to Wanfajai. Everyone heard what she said, so they didn't intend to. However, Li Fan smiled and said, "Sect leader of Shepherd is highly respected and recommended by everyone. It is better to join us in finding the land of extreme fire. After all, I am not familiar with that extremely hot place. If I missed it because I am not familiar with it, wouldn't it be a big joke?" Quote. With a kind eyebrow and a kind eye, Mu Fang smiled and shrugged off. "I am honored to be recognized by Leader Li, but Wanfajai, is really tired and can't get out of it." Well, since sect leader Li is worried about not being able to distinguish the appearance of the extreme fire land, he should take this ancient book, which contains a detailed introduction to the extreme fire land. There is also a detailed identification method on it, and I believe this item can help the leader of Li. Quote. Mu Feng took out a yellowed ancient book, held it in both hands, and handed it to Li Fan. "Take a breath. 2 interest. 3 breaths." Li Fan was unmoved, as if he hadn't seen the pastor holding the ancient book in both hands. While Mu Fang had maintained the posture of holding the ancient book, his eyelids drooped slightly and said nothing. The atmosphere in the clean palace is stagnant. Everyone looked at Li Fan and then at Mu Fang, not knowing what happened to the two of them. Finally, Mu Fang stood up slowly lowered his hands and retracted the ancient book. "What does the leader mean?" "Oh, Shepherd sect leader still recognizes me as the leader. I thought the pastoral sect leader ignored me and wanted to replace me as the leader." Li Fan's expression seemed to be joking, but his eyes were a little cold. "This leader Li is joking." Mu Fang lowered his head slightly, with some panic in his eyes. "Well, since the sect leader of Shepherd has agreed, let's set off without delay." Li Fan interrupted Shepherd and settled the matter directly. Next to him, Ji Ning followed Li Fan and turned and left, and the 7 people who had just confirmed the quota also followed. Mu Fang fell behind everyone, took a deep look at Li Fan, and left with Li Fan and others. As everyone rushed forward, it didn't take long to arrive at the location marked on the map. At first glance, the land is full of red colors, and only from a distance can you see a few high mountains that are shrouded in mist and can't be seen standing in the distance. This red land is empty and quiet. After arriving at the place, everyone only needs to follow the directions on the map to find the place full of fire and the marrow of fire. In fact, the fire on this land is very rich, and the land of extreme fire is closer. The less fire is inside. Because all the fire will be absorbed by the core flame in the extremely hot land, and it won't leak a bit. So as long as you find the extremely fire place in the nearby area, it is not difficult to find. The only thing that is difficult is how to find this remote area. The map in Ji Ning's hands perfectly solved this trouble. Everyone slowly explored this area, and gradually deepened into this red land. As everyone got deeper and deeper, the ground under everyone's feet gradually changed from red to charred black, but the temperature around everyone was getting lower and lower. It seemed that the place they were looking for was not a hot place with 9 heavens mysterious fire, but an ice field that would not melt forever. A 7th-rank sect leader beside Li Fan spoke, bringing up a cloud of steaming mist. The temperature nearby has dropped to a low level, and the surrounding streams have also condensed into ice. It seems that we are not far from the location of the extremely fire place. Everyone nodded one after another. According to the map in Ji Ning's hand and Wanfa Jimafang's explanation, this sign was indeed a characteristic of the surrounding environment of extreme fire. And Li Fan was also recalling the explanation he had seen in the system about the extreme fire land. The signs and the environment did indeed match what he had seen. It seems that it is indeed almost there. Li Fan's jaw slightly. He glanced at Mu Fang inadvertently, and he was also quite curious. Since Li Fan forcibly pulled her closer to the team, she has been silent on the way and made no unnecessary moves. Instead, he worked very hard with everyone to find the traces of the extreme fire land. This made Li Fan also a little surprised. He originally thought that Mu Fang might secretly convey some news to the outside, or make some small actions to get out of him. Unexpectedly, this is not the case. Shepard seems to be doing nothing, and his expression is very normal from beginning to end. During the march, I was talking and laughing with a few people around, and when I was about to approach the extremely fire place, my face was full of excitement that didn't seem to be fake like the rest of the people. This made Li Fan couldn't help but feel a little funny. This acting can be done in Blue Star, right? This is more professional than those idols who can only stare and growl. Finally, everyone passed through a frozen grassland and came to an oasis with lush greenery that was incompatible with this area. Everyone stopped and looked at the oasis. The land of extreme fire is here. 55%. Chapter 144 is the extreme fire real. The green axis above the ice sheet, which was beyond the horizon, was reflected in front of everyone, and the sky above the oasis was still surrounded by sunlight, which looked very mysterious. A green line full of vitality clearly separates life and death. This scene is very spectacular, and everyone is amazed by it. The place where everyone stops and the oasis ahead form two worlds that do not interfere with each other. The temperature here has returned to normal, one person said. Well, and the spiritual chi here is also very rich, much higher than my sect spiritual chi with lower grade spiritual veins. It's really amazing, an innate realm cultivator said. Everyone came and walked towards the inside of the oasis, their faces full of excitement and curiosity. The area in front of me, full of vitality, rich in spiritual chi, and shimmering above the dome, is completely in line with everyone's fantasy of the land of extreme fire. Mu Fang also exclaimed, and he said excitedly, everyone here is only the periphery of the extreme fire land. If you find the 9 heavens profound fire and practice by the profound fire, you will surely be able to break through the innate realm that I have been waiting for a long time. Enter the Taoist realm. After speaking, he took out the ancient book he wanted to pass to Li Fan before, searched for the records in it, and began to find the so-called 9 heavens mysterious fire. Li Fan and Ji Ning also led the crowd to follow Mu Fang. As the crowd went deeper into this oasis, they felt that the spiritual chi around them became richer. The rich spiritual chi even turned into a hazy mist, slightly obscuring everyone's sight. Through the mist formed by spiritual chi, everyone can vaguely see the colorful rays of light surging ahead, which looks like a fairyland. Ji Ning glanced at Li Fan, and at this moment, when he came to this mysterious place, his heart was a little shaken. Is this extremely hot place really a fairyland? Li Fan was wrong in his judgment. He was cautious and didn't rush to make a conclusion. He had to see that 9 heavens profound fire was making a decision first. If this extreme fire land was really a fairyland, then these people wouldn't be able to enter it so easily. This kind of place still needs to be in his own hands, and Ji Ning glanced at the people in the surrounding sects without saying a word. Li Fan looked a little dazed, and followed the crowd stupidly. After a while, a smooth palm-sized jade mirror suddenly appeared on his waist. The picture mirror of 1,000 merits is really expensive, I hope you don't let me down. Li Fan looked at the front with more and more excitement, and the expression on her face did not seem to be fake. Finally, Mu Fang, who was walking in front, stopped and stared excitedly at a pool of less than 10 meters in length and width in front of him. The crowd stopped watching, posturing without saying a word, and curiously leaned forward and looked at the waterhole. At this time, everyone found Bufin here, and at a glance they could see the low clear water surface, a group of flames emitting colorful glow in the water silently burning. This flame is extremely soft like a cloud, transforming into various shapes from time to time. Kaifeng, Qilin, Golden Dragon, Shuangui are all auspicious. There is still a faint rime flowing on it, and everyone just feels that their bottleneck cultivation base that has stuck them for many years is a little loose. This makes everyone very excited. There are already people who can't help it, so they want to sit cross-legged and try to make breakthroughs right away. Shepherd Sect Leader, is this the Nine Heavens mysterious fire in the extremely fire land in the record? One person pointed to the flame in the water pool that transformed into the shape of a beast from time to time. Mu Fang nodded. After receiving Mu Fang's affirmative answer, everyone's expressions were frozen, and then excited and nervous. Mu Sect Leader, please tell me how I should use this Nine Heavens profound fire breakthrough. Everyone stared at the profound fire in Tanzhong, and they wanted to go down and take it out immediately, but everyone who didn't know how to use the profound fire could only suppress it. Staying tempered, waiting for Mu Fang's answer. Fortunately, Mu Fang calmed down and quickly gave them the answer they wanted. This fire is that the fairy fire from the sky has already given birth to spiritual wisdom. Don't be arbitrarily alarmed and caught. Once I wait for it to give birth to evil intentions, I am afraid that the fairy fire will be able to sense it immediately. The land of fire loses its effectiveness. As soon as we enter this pool of water, sit around the profound fire, and quietly sense the Taoist rhyme in the profound fire, we can obtain a breakthrough bottleneck and a chance to step into the realm of Tao. Of course, even if everyone who has not reached the innate realm is cultivating next to the mysterious fire, they can still get great benefits. Quote. After Mu Fang finished speaking, he was the first to jump into the water pool, and sat down beside the profound fire to begin the insight practice. After a while, the spiritual qi on Mu Fang's body began to fluctuate, and his aura began to slowly ascending. This is the herding at the peak of innate realm, and the momentum at this time is actually rising, almost as if Ji Ning stepped into the Tao realm. Boom! The spirit power of Ji Ning's body fluctuated violently, and a splash of water suddenly exploded. At the same time, a mysterious aura gradually rose to cast a faint golden light on Ji Ning's body. Everyone on the pool was surprised to see the herd who appeared again. Even Ji Ning's eyes condensed. Others may have no idea about Tao, but he has become a cultivator of Tao, but he is too familiar with this breath. This is clearly the site of entering the Taoist realm of singing. This pastoralist has become a cultivator of the Taoist singing realm after only a short period of cultivating in the pool of incense. This is incredible. Even he himself received the breakthrough tango given by Li Fan, but it took closed-door training insight for a month to achieve breakthrough. Even so, at this moment, he did not fully grasp the strength of the Taoist realm, and his spirit power has not been completely transformed into Taoist power. It will take several months to stabilize realm. But this Mu Fang entered the Taoist realm from the innate realm in the blink of an eye, and his aura was extremely solid, and the surging spirit power in his body was also rapidly changing. After another stick of incense, all the spirit power on that Mu Fang was transformed into Tao power, and Ji Ning was deeply shocked by the scene in front of him. Mu Fang actually entered the Tao realm. Ji Ning muttered, excited. Look, the color of the profound fire seems to have become a little bleak. After seeing Mu Fang's breakthrough, the people on the shore noticed the changes in the profound fire around him. The mysterious fire, which was originally glowing like a bright moon, was dimmer at this moment. Moreover, part of the colorful light on it has disappeared, leaving 6 colors on it. The people standing on the water pool saw the herd, whose aura was completely different from that of just now, and Xuanwo's heart was stunned with a change in color. Doesn't the pastoralism mean that the land of extreme fire can be cultivated by many cultivators for thousands of years without decay? What is going on? Various thoughts flowed in everyone's hearts, and they didn't wait for Ji Ning and Li Fan to speak out. No longer hesitate to jump quickly into the pool one by one, for fear of taking a step too slowly. 55%. Chapter 145 Thunder like rain falling. At this moment, Ji Ning's gaze at Li Fan was cast into doubt. If Li Fan hadn't said that there must be fraud in this extremely hot place, it would be impossible for him to tell everyone the location of this place so easily. And they won't let these people go one step ahead of the people in their purification palace, enter this place to practice, and watch them break through the realm. At this moment, I saw that this extremely fire place did not seem to be fake at all, and that the colorful mysterious fire that contained fairy meaning, after Mu Feng broke through into the Taoist realm, all of the colorful glow on it had completely disappeared. Does this mean that the land of profound fire and extreme fire is actually not for many people to practice as Mu Feng said, but that only 7 people can break through into the realm of Tao? Ji Ning frowned and waved his long sleeves. His face was full of anger. These people are going to destroy the fairyland of my purity palace. He will enter Tanzhong as soon as he moves, and pull these people out of Tan. And many more. Li Fan saw everyone rushing into the pool, and the jade mirror in his hand released a slight brilliance, apparently recording everything in front of him. He stretched out his hand to stop Ji Ning, who wanted to jump into the water pool, and before Ji Ning had an attack, he said, "Get ready, Ji Sect leader, after they come out, I'm afraid they will no longer be themselves." What do you mean? After being stopped, Ji Ning calmed down a bit, but was still a little impatient. Looking at the mysterious fire in the water pool, the color on it became increasingly dimmed, the colorful halo was rapidly fading at this moment, and the aura of the other 3 innate realms of the people under the water pool was also rapidly changing. Astonishingly like the pasture just now, the mysterious Taoist rhyme was also gushing out of his body, and it seemed that he had entered the realm of hearing the Tao. This made Ji Ning's face darker. Then Tanzhong is not a mysterious fire at all, but the mist souls I have seen. These people seem to have realized that the fairy in the so-called profound fire broke through the realm and entered the realm, but in fact this everything is just a dream bubble. Ji Sect leader will naturally find the difference when he calmly feels it. Li Fan finished speaking quickly, putting his palms on Ji Ning's shoulders, and a wisp of true essence flooded into Ji Ning's eyes. Ji Ning endured the unhappiness and irritability in his heart, and once again looked at the people under the water tank and the shining mysterious fire. But at this moment, under the blessing of Li Fan's true essence, the scene in front of Ji Ning has changed drastically. The crystal clear water pool turned into a filthy swamp with countless ash floating. The colorful mysterious fire in Tanzhong also turned into a cloud of gray mist tangled together by countless pale shadows in Ji Ning's eyes, and a large number of pale shadows in the gray mist shuttled through it. The few people sitting in the mud, except for hurting, have a lot of white shadows attached to their bodies. Those white shadows are like life-killing ghosts, desperately drilling into everyone's body. This scene made Ji Ning startled in a cold sweat. What is this? This is the mist soul I've seen before, and it's also the source of crises in all regions of the wild and wild region. Li Fan said calmly. Leader, then we don't hurry down to save people, and then these people will be taken over by those foggy souls. Ji Ning looked anxious. Just now, he still hated these people for occupying the immortal land of his purity palace, and he wanted to drag them out and beat them to death. Now he has completely changed his attitude, which is very interesting. Li Fan shook his head. It's out of help, and there's nothing I can do. I blame it for finding out too late. Hearing Li Fan's words, Ji Ning took a deep look at Li Fan. The 7 people in Sweden, among them the 3 sect leaders of the 6th rank sect, are all factions that do not belong to their Purification Palace camp, and they are the group who previously opposed Li Fan as the leader in the 100 Sects Council. As for the other 7 rank forces, 2 of them were Miao Ji's friends who had been a gunman to others at the time and criticized Li Fan for murdering and hurting people. Zhou and Gong were 2 sect leaders. Before starting, Ji Ning hadn't felt much, but now that several people are in desperate situation, Ji Ning looked carefully and found out. These people are either the stingers among the 100 sects, who seem to cater to the leader of Li Fan who are dissatisfied in their hearts, or they are those who have a gap with Li Fan. This is to kill someone with a knife. Ji Ning was startled with a cold sweat on his back. Originally, his opinion of Li Fan was that this person was strong, rich in resources, and all kinds of rare and exotic treasures could be obtained. In addition, he exchanged a number of broken pills with his Purity Palace, and the exchanged items were still incomparable pill recipes, formation drawings, magical item forging drawings, spells and other worthless things. Including this time when Li Fan became the leader of the 100 Sect Alliance, Ji Ning discovered that his views on Li Fan were completely wrong. Li Fan seemed to be inadvertently, passively pushed to the leader, but after carefully thinking about what Li Fan did and said in the hall, it was intertwined, step by step, and finally led to this result. This is no coincidence. This made him discover that Li Fan's tactics were absolutely extraordinary. But Jining didn't care too much. After Li Fan became the leader, he did not embarrass those who originally questioned him and blamed him, but treated him equally and seemed too benevolent. But he never expected that Li Fan didn't say anything. He was waiting here. Ji Ning didn't talk too much, but fell silent. He has to think about the way to get along with Li Fan in the future. This kind of guy with strong strength and deep thoughts and risks must not be offended. Otherwise, he glanced into the mud, and the smiling crowd shuddered with closed eyes. Why don't the two of you go down and feel the profound fire immortal meaning together, and try to make realm one step closer? A voice came from behind the two of them. Li Fan and Ji Ning turned to look at the pasture who was still in the mud just now. The pasture at this moment, the whole body is full of breath, and the cultivation base is clearly entering the realm. This caused Ji Ning to ask questions in his heart. Isn't that an illusion just now? How come this Mufang has really entered the realm of Taoism? He looked at the two curiously, but neither Li Fan nor Mufang obviously wanted to explain. What the two said made him completely forget about such trivial matters. Have you taken refuge in weird? What is Leader Li talking about? Is it necessary to disguise now? The aura on your body is not the aura of the Tao realm, but the aura of the monsters who claim to be Saint Clan. Oh, you know the saints. Where did you get the news? You'll know if you kill too much. Li Fan said lightly. Mufang stared at Li Fan closely, with a smile at the corner of his mouth. Leader Li has the courage to know people, and he still wants to make such jokes when he is about to die. At this point, both of them stopped. Several bangs. The mud exploded and the figures of the remaining 7 people were revealed. Unlike just now, a twisted sense of horror is wrapped around the bodies of several people, and their expressions are dull, like puppets. They have lost their agility. Leader Li, this is a great gift I gave you. 7 opponents comparable to the Tao Realm cultivator. Don't you know if you are satisfied? The cold voice of Mufang came to Li Fan and Ji Ning's ears. Accompanied by a rumbling vibration, Mufang also withdrew from the environment that enveloped the entire extreme fire land, so that this extreme fire land finally revealed its original features. The oasis quickly disappeared, exposing the dry, cracked and scorched earth. Spiral weathered rocks surrounded in a circle, forming a 100-meter-high mountain, guarding a spring in the middle. It's just that there is no clear spring water in that spring, but crimson's magma surging. Mengmeng's spiritual qi also turned into a steaming black mist, roaring on everyone's heads. Li Fan, who has a sacred pupil, and Ji Ning, who was temporarily able to see the true face of the fog with his help, suddenly saw the pale shadows in the surrounding mountains and plains. There are also huge monsters that exude a terrifying aura in several distorted spaces in the distance. 3 saint monsters, thousands of fog souls, and 8 teammates comparable to Tao Realm surrounded Li Fan and Ji Ning tightly. In fact, this big gift was not for you, but it's a pity that you can't wait to die by yourself. It also broke my holy family's plan. Otherwise, all the sects of rank 7 and above in the entire Kanglan domain can be swept away, leaving no amount of trouble. Well, today, please ask Meng Li and Ji Sect leader to go on the road first. After a while, your disciples will also accompany you on Yellow Springs Road. Sooner or later, this entire reckless realm and even the star realm will belong to the saints waiting for me. Mufang shouted with a fanatical and ferocious expression. Mufang's figure hovered in the air and his clothes turned over, his eyes fixed on Li Fan closely, as if he was about to tear Li Fan into pieces. In an instant, thousands of ferocious misty souls rushed towards Li Fan and Ji Ning with a stern roar. Overwhelmed the two in an instant. Looking at the 2 people who were submerged, Mufang was also relieved. From the time he was in the Pure Palace, he felt that Li Fan seemed to have seen him through. It made him feel deeply disturbed. Moreover, Li Fan seemed to be enveloped in a dense mist, making him completely unpredictable, and his strength was amazing. At that time, he was very worried that Li Fan would ruin his plan. But in the end, the result was not bad. Although the entire Kanglan region's 107 sects could not be wiped out in one fell swoop, the plan to kill these guys first can barely be implemented. Mufang looked relaxed and smiled. The 2 of them were dead, and he had to think hard about how to get rid of the remaining ones. Did he take the 8 people back with him and bring the rest of the people over, or he directly flattened the Kanglan region? It seems to work. This is really difficult to choose. While Mufang was meditating, he found that the surrounding environment had suddenly dimmed. A thick black cloud covered the entire area of extreme fire, and also enveloped him, the misty souls all over the mountains and the 3 sacred monsters in the distance that had never shown their bodies. What's going on? Mufang hurriedly looked towards the sky above his head. But before he could think about it, a loud noise cut through the dark clouds in the sky. A bolt of lightning with the mighty sky pierced the sky. No. Not together. In the dark clouds in the sky, dragons and snakes twisted and danced among the clouds. The stout lightning rained down on them. 56%. Chapter 146. The wind is messy. A thunderbolt blasted, and then thousands of thunder fell. The endless white light that submerged Li Fan and Ji Ning was blown into a hole by the cyan thunder, revealing the two figures. A lavender light curtain blocked the fog soul and the two. Thousands of ferocious mist souls rushed towards the two of them, but they couldn't tear through the thin purple light curtain. That light curtain was like a moat, which made these monsters unable to cross. The thunder in the sky fell like rain, and every thunderstorm shot down, it would annihilate dozens of entangled mist souls. Bang, bang, bang. The scorched black ground was blasted with cracks after another, and the rubble turned into powder and the ground was full of scorched pits. When the hypocritical illusion was torn apart, the real world was finally revealed. The sky covered by dark clouds, the turbulent magma guarding the spiral mountain, the cyan thunder that rained down, and the pale soul shadows roaring silently across the mountains and plains made up this absurd picture. Finally the rain died down, and the world was quiet. Thousands of mist souls are like a strand of blue smoke, and disappear without a trace when a thin wind passes by. Li Fan strolled through the scorched earth and came to Mu Fang. Mu Fang's meticulously combed white hair was scattered awkwardly, and his white robe was covered with charred holes. He was in a dirt pit, and his eyes were full of disbelief. Even if the thousands of thunderbolts were just aftermath, he had already severely injured his cultivator, which was comparable to the realm of hearing, and he was helpless. He stared closely at Li Fan, who was not in front of him, and his voice trembled slightly. What the hell are you, realm? Why can't thousands of fog souls help you? It's impossible. The figure in front of him is obviously not sturdy, but some thin figures, in Mu Fang's eyes, are like a lonely mountain beyond the horizon. Whether it was at the 100 Sects conference or just now in a desperate situation, this person will always have such a plain and somewhat excessive expression. As if nothing could surprise him, everything was in his grasp. This gave the herd the impression that the person in front of him could not be defeated at all. Normally, a foggy soul can deal with a cultivator of the dirty realm. The cultivator can instantly suppress its soul and completely occupy its body. When an innate realm cultivator is caught off guard, 10 mist souls can also completely control it. When the number of fog souls accumulates to a certain level, thousands of fog souls come out and attack a cultivator together. Even if that person is a Taoist cultivator, it is impossible to survive. No, even the Mingguang cultivator will be buried in the endless mist soul. But for the person in front of him, a thin lavender light curtain became a moat for all mist souls. The powerful thunder method was revealed casually, and the thousands of mist souls who were able to resist the strong of the bright light realm were lightly annihilated. Li Fan did not answer, nor was he interested in answering. The Feixing thunder knife appeared in his hand, as if reflecting the future of Mu Fang. Mu loudly roared. When did the Kanglan domain have such a powerful Dao realm cultivator? I had known this before, so why should I cast into those disgusting monsters? Why didn't you show up earlier and save me Wanfa Jai earlier? All this is to blame on you. You, what bullshit leader or bullshit alliance, do you think you can save the Kanglan region? Kanglan region, Nanyu Valley region, and even the entire wild region will be buried with me. You are going to die here today. Go to death, go to death. Quote. The herd was crazy, his face was full of anger, as if he was the biggest victim. He didn't pay attention to the 7 sect leaders who lost their minds just now and were turned into ashes by the endless thunder. Li Fan listened to Mu Fang's nonsense, and he probably understood what the Mu Fang was all about. It was nothing more than being found by those monsters earlier, and even the entire Wanfa Jai was in crisis. In a desperate situation, the sect leader of Wanfa Jai did not choose to die, but took the whole Wanfa Jai to succumb to the monsters' feet. Become their lackey. A group of foreign lackeys. Is this hateful? That hurting is nothing more than to live. However, in order to survive, he chose to pull the entire Kanglan region into the abyss and let the entire Kanglan region be buried with him by hundreds of millions of people. Li Fan didn't want to think about this kind of thing. For him, he hadn't experienced this kind of thing and he couldn't judge it. He only knows that if this person wants to harm him, then go to hell. Knife light flashed. Mu Fang's crazy head drew an arc in the air, and then fell to the ground and rolled a few times. Slap. The head was broken into blood when stepped on by a red claw, and a 3-toed red claw rubbed randomly on the ground, rubbing away the red and white stained claws. You are very good. Li Fan raised his brows, a hint of surprise on his face. When did this guy come here? Li Fan raised his eyes, and a strange creature with a bird's body, human face, bat wings, and hexapod was reflected in his eyes. He saw this monster Li Fan just now when he released thousands of mist souls to attack him and Jining and Mufang. In addition to it, 2 figures were also discovered by him. It's just that because the 3 figures were elusive and lurking in the cracks in the space and did not show up, Li Fan didn't care either. He planned to wait until the pastures and mist souls in front of him were dealt with before looking for their troubles. Unexpectedly, he had just killed Mufang, and the most powerful of the 3 figures appeared in front of Li Fan. Moreover, he completely avoided Li Fan's divine mind that has been able to cover 100 li after entering the Foundation building. Leave him completely unaware. If the red-haired monster didn't make a sound just now, but chose to attack him, would he be able to react? Li Fan thought of this with a solemn expression. In an instant he had a judgment in his heart that this monster is a powerful enemy. If you underestimate the enemy, you will die. Are you the guy who pulled Mufang into you back then? Li Fan said, while secretly transmitting to Jining next to him, this guy has a terrifying aura. I'm afraid that the 2 of us may not be able to win together. Prepare run away. Jining felt awe-inspiring when hearing Li Fan's voice transmission. Just now, the overwhelming pounce on both of them, as if the ferocious misty soul that could destroy everything was erased lightly by Li Fan. But now it's just a weird-looking red-haired big bird. Let Li Fan say that there is no enemy of magic power before it fights. This made Jining's forehead faintly ooze cold sweat. He pretended that nothing happened, and a yellow talisman slipped off his broad sleeves and was pinched between his fingers. It was the random teleportation that they had prepared before he and Li Fan set off. This talisman can teleport people to a place thousands of miles away in a random location. It is the talisman at the bottom of their cleansing palace. It was just out of caution at the time, and Li Fan deliberately asked him to bring it. They were 2 of them together. In case the emergency. Unexpectedly, it was actually used. Leader, retreat together. This monster is waiting for us to go back and summon various sects to kill. Jining replied. Before his words fell, a force of space dissipated from Li Fan. A white glow flashed past, and Li Fan's figure disappeared without a trace, leaving Jining alone in a mess in the wind. Grass. A kind of plant. 56%. Chapter 147. With a big red-haired face, seeing Li Fan disappearing in front of Own, he tilted his head slightly to look at Jining, who was holding Fulu between his fingers before he could be excited. Jining and the red-haired human face each other for a while, and an awkward breath rose between the 2. Why haven't this teleportation talisman been fully activated yet? TMD, I'm so annoying. Jining's heart was full of gallops, in cold sweat. But the human face is still indifferent. Suddenly, another white light flashed. Jining turned his head and glanced at Big Bird, and said quickly, it has nothing to do with me. Li Fan reappeared from where he had disappeared. The 2 looked at each other quietly. Jining. He spread the voice. Leader Li, why are you back again? Li Fan's face was indifferent, and the sound transmission replied, I don't think you are following, so I don't worry about you. When Jining heard Li Fan's voice transmission, tears flowed down his eyes, and he couldn't stop covering his 50-something face that was still wrinkle-free. Leader, if I didn't know that this teleportation token was teleported randomly, I would believe it. Can you not treat me as a fool? Li Fan scratched his head, his face a little ruddy. The red-haired human-faced bird slammed one of its front paws on the ground and roared, is it enough? Your tactics are too inferior. I can't use your voice transmission to my clan, and I can hear them clearly. Quote. Li Fan and Jining glanced at each other, and they all saw a bit of shame from each other's faces as thick as a city wall. This bird is so terrifying, it must not be kept. Li Fan continued to transmit his voice. Yeah, Jining Chuanian replied. The red-haired human-faced bird couldn't help the anger in his chest any longer, and with a long cry, 2 spatial cracks tore apart behind Li Fan and Li Fan. 2 figures appeared from it. In the shape of a frog, the head is made up of numerous tiny tentacles densely packed, and those tentacles dance by themselves like fluff. At the very center of the head is a fist-sized ring-shaped closed tooth. Look closely, like a blooming chrysanthemum flower. Another figure appeared, and an ugly head emerged from a group of black mud. Under the huge head are strands of tiny hair-like things entwined to form the body. Its body is surrounded by countless filaments, and it continues to extend and explore. His figure appeared and twisted irregularly on the ground like a snake. It looks like a huge tadpole. As soon as the two figures appeared, they rushed towards Li Fan. And the big red-haired bird flew towards Ji Ning, its ferocious six-legged claws dancing wildly in the air. Ji Ning was so scared that his scalp was numb, so he turned and ran. Li Fan looked at these two figures with a bitter chill in his heart. After tearing the teleportation talisman just now, he would have been able to leave this dangerous place immediately. However, during the transmission process, two distorted auras twisted and disordered the space when he was teleporting, causing him to fall into the turbulence of the space. Had it not been for him, he had already experienced this situation and had experience after setting up a mediation universe in that ruin before. Maybe he was really trapped by the violent spatial turbulence. And those two distortions disturbed the breadth of his teleportation space, and they were the two figures in front of him now. Li Fan immediately understood what was going on. It turned out that the reason why the red-haired man-faced bird didn't stop him from teleporting away was because the arrangement was made early. Don't worry about him running away at all. The enemy was extremely jealous when they met. Li Fan looked at the two terrifying monsters in front of him, while using Qianyuan shrinking supernatural powers to escape quickly, while yelling in the direction of Ji Ning. Why do you two have to chase me? Your husband is over there, and your dad is him, not me. In the distance, Ji Ning was embarrassed to avoid the attack of the big red-haired bird. Really, the husband and wife are birds of the same forest, and the disaster is about to fly separately. Quote. Ji Ning ran farther and farther without looking back, and his figure gradually disappeared in front of Li Fan's eyes. The ferocious toad spirit and tadpole spirit rushed towards Li Fan and kept chasing them. Seeing Ji Ning lead the big red bird away, Li Fan, who had been running at a fast speed, stopped suddenly. This distance should be enough, Sect leader, hold on. Li Fan was holding a long knife and turned to face the two weird ones who were a little confused because he suddenly stopped. Too weird. Why didn't he run away? Do not know. Forget it. Leave him alone. Kill him. Point Kangdao. A sharp blade flashed past, and the head of the toad-like weird, dense tentacles was severed with a single knife. The head was chopped off, but the toad is weird but still unmoved, as if nothing happened at all. Its broken head rolled twice on the ground, and then those fine tentacles supported the head. Crawling as fast as a centipede, while rushing towards Li Fan, countless white silk threads shot out from the tiny holes in each tentacle and attacked Li Fan. At the same time, its body twisted, bounced into the air with a bang. Four frog-like green slimy flippers slapped Li Fan. It seems that Li Fan is going to be shot directly into Meatloaf. It's interesting. Li Fan gave him a weird look at the toad that hit him with nothing. The Faxing Thunder knife attached a layer of thunderlight in his hand. The long knife was slashed, and thousands of filaments were either pushed aside by him, cut off by him, or avoided by him. The weird white silk thread closely followed Li Fan's figure, leaving a series of holes the size of a bottomless hairline on the charred ground under his feet and on the hill behind him. Rumbling. The hill behind Li Fan was pierced by countless thin threads, and finally couldn't hold it, and collapsed with a bang. At the same time, the weird fins flew from the sky and slapped him down. Li Fan stood steady and blocked the black light that the tadpole spirit shot from a distance with a knife, and then a three-color thunder bead condensed in his hand and shot upwards. He slapped his hand with the weird huge fins fiercely. Boom. Click. The ground split like a cobweb. Li Fan's legs sank deeply into the ground, burying half of his body. And the toad that had lost its head weirdly had a webbed contact with Li Fan turned into coke, and flew out. Its huge body slammed into the fiercely tangled, thread-like body of the fire core mountain that carried the extreme fire land. The thread-like pure black mountain body cracked with a small crack, and a strand of crimson magma flowed down from the mountain body, dripping onto the ground, dissolving a charred trench from the ground, and at the same time bringing up a large amount of black smoke. Li Fan stomped on his legs and rushed out of the broken soil, standing quietly on the spot. One knife per person. The space in front of the two is distorted, and the terrifying one is comparable in strength to the second realm of Dao realm, the strange light realm cultivator. The gray mist was mixed with the black smoke rising from the lava burning ground. On a piece of scorched earth like the end of the world, a crisis between life and death kicked off. 56%. Chapter 148 Can't Kill. Li Fan looked up. That was the direction of Ji Ning, who helped him lead the human face bird away. He clenched the long knife in his hand and his eyes were cold. This battle is the strongest opponent he has ever encountered since entering the 5th floor of the Foundation building. The two corresponding Dao realm is higher than his entire realm's weirdness, and there is also a human face bird whose strength is even more terrifying and unfathomable. He must slay the two together as quickly as possible for the weirdness that is not defeated by him, and then rush to work with Jining to fight the red-haired man-faced bird. According to his estimation, Jining may not last long alone. Then make a quick decision. Li Fan's aura is not covering up, and the incomparably solid essence of the fifth floor of the foundation building emerges through it. The three thunder powers of wood, fire, and earth, which are the true essence and the five thunders, covered the long sword in his hand. Stepping on Qianyuan's footsteps with magical powers, Li Fan's figure quickly approached two weird ones. The two weirdnesses were full of tyrannical auras, looked at each other, and then all rushed towards Li Fan. Boom, boom, clang. Fake Li Guang knife flew up and down, and collided with two weird bodies, and there were bursts of gold and iron fighting. Every time Li Fan confronts the two weird ones, there will be more or less injuries on the three of them. It's just that Li Fan's Qianyuan shrinking Earth's supernatural powers are indeed too mysterious. Let his body shape be ethereal and unpredictable, so the injury is not serious, and the two weird bodies have been cut off by him many times. But every time the two weird bodies were cut off by the Flying Star Thunder Knife, they would regenerate in a moment, as if they could recover their injuries endlessly. Annoying him. It's not going to work like this. Li Fan's eyes burst out with divine light, and he was able to clearly judge the two weird attack trajectories when the sacred pupil was opened. This gave him a great advantage in the battle from the beginning. Two weird attacks rarely hurt him. The only small wounds on his body were caused by his hard work in exchange for greater results. If it weren't because of a hurry, he wouldn't be hurt at all. After this short and intense confrontation, Li Fan also discovered the difference between these two weirdness and others. They can't seem to be killed. No, it's not that they can't be killed, but they need to find their core and weakness, and destroy them in one blow. Otherwise, no matter how many times they are attacked by Li Fan, how many times their bodies are cut off, they will continue to reorganize and resurrect. The few monsters who claimed to be saints in the Redridge Stone Forest before were similar to other ordinary weird characteristics. It's nothing more than ordinary and weird. Li Fan can forcefully crush with his own strength, and it is useless to care about weaknesses. As long as the whole body's true essence oscillates all over those weird bodies, it will naturally cover its weaknesses in all directions. But it doesn't work now. These two weird strengths are not much weaker than him. He is only relying on his own true essence to restrain the two weirdness, and the broken holy pupil can slow down the two weird figures in his eyes. That's why I can face the weirdness of two realms far surpassing him, and still have the upper hand in the situation of one enemy and two. As for now, the two weird ones will naturally not stand stupidly, allowing Li Fan to slowly test out their weaknesses. Besides, he doesn't have this time. Li Fan continued to deal with the two weird creatures, while running the true essence in his body with all his strength. His eyes surged. Breaking the holy pupil. According to the system, it can break through all things, but it can't break through two weird weaknesses in the end. Li Fan's gaze closely followed the two weird quick movements. His concentration continued to focus, and his true essence gradually poured into his eyes, and the whole world seemed to gradually become more and more silent before his eyes. That's right, it's silence. The mixture of the turbulent magma in the mountains, the mist in the sky, and the smoke and dust of the flowing magma burning the earth, and the sound of gold and iron. All this lost its color in Li Fan's eyes. There were only two blazing white lights left, constantly writhing in front of his eyes. Not enough, we need to look closer. Li Fan put away the long knife in his hand, with thunder light all over his body, rushed into the weird frog-like body, and chose to fight personally and not to dodge. At this moment, the two weird ones were overjoyed. Is this two-legged beast here to die? Thousand Illusion Demon Palm. Li Fan turned his palms into his palms, and the surging true essence flowed in his palms. A low-level 7 rank palm technique exploded in Li Fan's hands with astonishing power. He only relied on his physical body and a 7th rank martial skill to make it easy for two powerful physical monsters to fight back and forth. Fist to the flesh, recruit blood. Li Fan's pale cyan gown was covered with two weird, viscous green blood stains mixed with own bright red blood stains. Because he no longer relied on the movement technique to dodge, but chose to fight hard, Li Fan's injuries became more and more serious. Finally, there was a thump. A figure was bombarded and flew out. A trace of blood spilled from the corner of Li Fan's mouth, and his right arm was twisted and limp on his side irregularly. It was obvious that the bones of this hand had been shattered and scrapped. Compared to these two ghosts, My physical body is still too weak, and I have always been too dependent on swordsmanship, but I have neglected to exercise my martial skill. The 7th rank martial skill is too far behind for me now, and I can't keep up with the enemies I have to face. Li Fan sighed softly in his heart. The two weird saw Li Fan being injured by them and annihilated one arm. They both became more excited. Human, you can fight our saints like this with your body. You are pretty good. This is enough for you to be proud, but it's over. Go to hell. Quote. The gray mist around the two weird bodies was filled, and a large amount of mist poured into their bodies. There was crackling in their bodies. After a while, the two weird bodies were actually stronger in a circle, and the muscles of their bodies seemed to explode, like two muscle monsters. The two weird feet, which were once again huge in size, exerted their strength, and with a bang, they rushed out like a sharp arrow and rushed towards Li Fan. Die. Boom. Under the two weird left and right strikes, Li Fan turned sideways slightly, avoiding the terrifying black light that the black mycelium spit out strangely. But the right side of the body was bombarded with a hole of blood by the webbed tentacles with weird heads. Cough. Li Fan's body was pierced by the weird fins, and the internal organs mixed with blood spewed out of his mouth. With this blow, Li Fan was seriously injured. The right arm and body were completely shattered, almost losing the ability to move. But the brilliance in Li Fan's eyes became more and more dazzling, and the blazing light seemed to rush out of his eyes. The corners of Li Fan's eyes were scarlet. He stared closely at the two weird ones in front of him, split his mouth, revealing the teeth stained red with blood, and a hoarse voice came from his mouth. Found it. 57%. Chapter 149. Killing the Weirdness, 100,000 Merits and the Evil Silk. In front of Li Fan's eyes, there was only a black spot in the white light in front of him. Fixing Thunder Knife appeared in Li Fan's left hand. He did not care about the body that was pierced. Instead, his muscles tightened and the weird fins were tightly stuck in the abdominal muscles. Between the sparks and flints, Li Fan held the knife in his back, and the long and narrow tip of the knife penetrated the center of the tentacle weird head, above the mouth full of sharp teeth. Then, through the body. In an instant, the light in Li Fan's eyes went out. And the weird frog-like body with its hideous head and tentacles in front of him instantly froze, then turned into fly ash and disappeared. Ahem. Finally succeeded. Li Fan coughed and let out a long sigh of relief. He looked at the weird tadpole-like one ahead. It's your turn. The other weird looked at Li Fan's figure, who had been seriously injured, but felt a huge pressure rushing towards it. Let it tremble involuntarily. How is it possible? How did this guy find our core so quickly? The black filaments like tentacles on the weird body were windless, looking extremely terrible. But it did not dare to take a step forward. No, I can't fight this human anymore. I just have to wait for the adult to come back. This guy will definitely die. I don't need to fight this guy. Once this thought arises, it will be out of control like a wildfire. All the black tentacles on its body shot out, blasting towards Li Fan, and then the whole body twisted like a snake, crawling back fast on the ground. Want to run? It's late. Li Fan saw this weird thought of running away. How could it be as expected? I was hurt so badly, wasn't it just to cut off the two assistants of the red-haired human-faced big bird? At this moment, I managed to kill one of the weird ones. How could I let the other go? Li Fan's ninja felt like a tearing pain in his abdomen. He forcibly lifted the true essence of his body, used Qianyuan's shrinking magical powers, and came to the strange body in the blink of an eye. With the illusion-breaking sacred pupil talent activated, the tadpole-like weirdness in front of him turned into a bright light ball in his eyes, and a black spot in this light ball was as conspicuous as a drop of ink on the pure white rice paper. Seeing that he couldn't escape, he felt cruel, and his huge body slammed back into Li Fan fiercely. Since you don't want to let me go, then die together. Li Fan flicked his left hand vigorously and threw the weirdness towards his tail and cut it off. Seeing that his own body was cut off, the tadpoles were weird and didn't care if they didn't retreat. Instead, they rose into the air and shrank the whole body into a ball of pitch-black silky hair, and continued to rush towards Li Fan. At the same time, it seemed as if the hair ball fused into countless small filaments burst out with a terrifying aura, constantly pouring into the weird body, supporting it into a huge ball. The turbulent momentum continued to rise, as if the next moment was about to destroy the entire extremely fireplace. Blowed, Li Fan sneered, the beauty of thinking. He didn't look at the weird floating in the air that had swelled to a size of tens of meters, but the three-color thunder light surging from his fingertips. Li Fan moved his wrist lightly, and the thunder light shot out and blasted into the mud puddle on the ground covered by the shadow of that weird and huge body. Do not. The terrifying energy of the body in the air was surging, and it was about to explode with a weird and unwilling roar. But it couldn't stop the rapid thunder light from pouring into the swamp that resembled a living thing, in which thousands of black hyphae twisted. The thunder light slammed into the mud. Countless mycelium in the mud swayed frantically, but was ruthlessly wiped out by the powerful thunder light. Finally, the thunder light gradually extinguished, and the swampland also turned into nothingness. The weird bulging body in the midair was also silent, like a bubble, banging into a massive mist, dissipating between the world and the earth. Li Fan saw that the two weird all give the lead, and his hanging heart was also let go. Kill the weird inscription pattern and get 500 heavenly Dao merits. Kill the weird inscription pattern and get 500 heavenly Dao merits. Kill the weird inscription pattern and get the Black Spirit Mycelium 1. Ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for killing weird and gaining a 100-fold increase and gaining 50,000 heavenly Dao merits. Ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for killing weird and gaining a 100-fold increase and gaining 50,000 heavenly Dao merits. Ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for killing weird and gaining a 100-fold increase and gaining Tianxia Silk 1. The strength of the two Dao realm second layer Mingguang realm was weird. After a 100-fold increase, they provided him with 100,000 points of heavenly Dao merit and a nearly transparent 1-inch long crystal silk thread. Tianxia Silk. Li Fan looked at the crystal silk thread in his hand, waiting for the system to explain. This should be what was left behind by the weird tadpole just now. After a while, a line of words appeared in front of Li Fan's eyes. Tianxia Silk. First rank spirit. A genius treasure made from the land of the negative evil, containing 10,000 years of killing intent. You can fill it in when you forge the magic weapon, and there is a chance to refine the soldier of the extreme evil. A soldier of the extreme evil. What's the answer? How does the first rank spirit feel like it's useless? Li Fan frowned. When he just saw Shixi's explanation on this day, he was a little excited. It was the first time he saw the first rank spirit creature. But I didn't expect that the attributes of this game should be so rubbish. Li Fan quickly tightened his backpack and waited to see if there was any chance to use it in the future. This is not the most important thing now. Li Fan looked into the distance, worried in his heart. It took about a quarter of an hour before he fought these two weirdness to kill them. I don't know what happened to Ji Ning. I won't be eaten by the human face bird. I have to heal the injury as soon as possible and go to him. Li Fan opened the own attribute panel, ready to check the own injury, and look for the corresponding medicine. Pill healed. 100,000 merits are enough to buy medicine pill that can quickly cure my injury. Open the properties panel. Properties panel. Li Fan, Sect Leader of Qian Yuanzong. Seriously injured state. You can spend merits to redeem the required healing medicine pill to repair the injury. Realm. The 5th floor of the Foundation building. Cultivation technique. Celestial Soul Arctic Fairy Code. Martial skill. Point Kang Knife. Profound Thunder Step. 1000 Illusory Demon Palm. Spells. Soul Soil Thorn. Soul Soil Shield. Supernatural powers. Master the 5 Thunders. Qianyuan Shuji. Innate supernatural powers. Breaking the Sacred Pupil, 9th rank, can be Ascension. Sect rank. 5th rank. Li Fan was not surprised by the prompts on his own injury on the panel. He knew about this thing before, except that one hadn't been injured much and didn't pay special attention to it. And the talented supernatural power was revealed for the first time. It's clear that I have already obtained this sacred pupil. How can it be displayed in the attribute panel now? Li Fan thought in his heart, and what does it mean that it can be upgraded? Li Fan looked at these two prompts, thinking in his heart. 57%. Chapter 150. Tired, destroy. Could it be the reason why it has not been fully activated before? After thinking about it, it seems that this explanation is more reliable, Li Fan asked. In the previous battles, the enemies Li Fan faced were all crushed. This sacred pupil who has great potential and help in the battle, Li Fan has never really used it with all his strength. It's not that he doesn't want to, but it's really too late. Before he remembered to completely open the broken eyes, those enemies were all hacked to death by him. Therefore, this is really the first time he has fully used his long-standing talent and magical powers. And under this attempt, Li Fan finally saw the true potential of the shattered sacred eye. It may not be useful to face enemies much weaker than him. But once faced with a powerful opponent, this talent's supernatural power reveals its true ability. It can be said that if the illusion pupils were not broken in this battle, the accurate judgment of the offensive trajectory of the two weird movements would have slowed down the two weird movements a lot. It is impossible for Li Fan to suppress two weird things that are higher than his realm in the early stage without being injured. Later, in the face of the weirdness that is difficult to kill, Li Fan also relied on the effect of the sacred pupil to break through the weakness of the enemy, accurately found the two weird cores, and crushed them to destroy the two weirdness. In this battle, the sage punching pupil has made great contributions. And now on his attribute panel, a column of talent supernatural power suddenly appeared, and the word ascension was also displayed impressively on it. This made Li Fan's heart move. He first exchanged for a second-rank medicine pill 9 cauldrons that would allow him to quickly recover from his injury. 9 cauldrons. Second-rank medicine pill. Living dead, fleshy bones, first-class healing medicine pill. 1 is refreshing, 2 never tires, and 3 live forever. Cough cough. Li Fan suddenly thought of a brainwashing voice. He calmly swallowed medicine pill into his mouth, and circulated the true essence refining medicine power in his body. In just 10 breaths, the medicinal power of Li Fan 9 cauldrons Xiao Huan Dan had been completely absorbed by him. And the blood hole on the right side of his body that was torn and bloody right arm and abdomen was almost cut off by his waist, healed quickly with naked eyes. After a while, Li Fan's serious injuries completely recovered, and even his true essence became more solidified, and he was one step closer to the 6th floor of the foundation building. The real medicine pill is really amazing. If I can get a few more, I am afraid that I will be able to enter the 6th floor of the foundation building after I finish hitting the face bird. It's a pity. Li Fan sighed inwardly. Produced by the Star Palace, they are all fine products. Although this 9 cauldrons is worthy of the second-rank medicine pill, it is too expensive. A small 9 cauldrons pill cost him a full 60,000 merit points, and the merit points left on his body now are 52,000 merit points, which is not enough for the price of the second one. Since Li Fan couldn't afford it, Li Fan stopped thinking about it. While running the true essence in his body, he performed the Qisong Qi searching technique, looking for the positioning aura left on Ji Ning's body. On the one hand, I click the button on the property panel. Ascension breaks the sacred pupil and other orders. Ascension is successful, consumes Tianxia Silk 1. Seeing the prompt message of the system, Li Fan finally reacted. I said how to display the prompt of ascension. It turned out that it was because of the Tianxia silk that I just got and don't know what it does. But what's the relationship between the evil silk and the broken sacred pupil this day? I can't see any connection from the introduction. Forget it, it's important to do business first. Press the bottom of my heart to the bottom of my heart. Li Fan is ready to wait until after this crisis is over, and then explore the role of his talents and supernatural powers. See if you can exchange it for a similar treasure in the Star Palace. As for now, Li Fan looked for the feedback given by Qisong Zunqi, his figure flickered, and he flew quickly towards the east. Don't die. Cough, cough, cough. In a white ice field, Ji Ning was covered in blood and pale, and he was speeding through the pure white glacial mountains. Although he was scarred, he still didn't dare to stop for a while. He had a brief exchange of eyes with Li Fan just now, and he understood Li Fan's plan. Looking at the murderous look in Li Fan's eyes, he knew that Li Fan was going to kill these 3 monsters. And he heard Li Fan say that he was not sure of defeating this human face bird. Then how to kill these 3 monsters? The result was obvious. He had to block Li Fan's knife again, and drew away the most threatening human face bird so that Li Fan could defeat them one by one. And now, after he led the monster away, but only half an hour later, he was almost unable to hold on. This strange bird is really terrifying. Not only is its red feather as tough as steel, it has amazing defenses, and my attack is completely useless. And this speed. Ji Ning remembered the fear of being dominated by this human face bird just now. When he first entered the Dao realm, he had no intention of fighting head-on with the human face bird at first. His goal is very clear, is to run as much as possible. Run as far as you can. He exploded with all his strength that had not yet been fully converted in his body, and continued to gallop, but the speed of the human face bird behind him was even more terrifying. No matter how fast he flees, no matter which direction or remote corner he flees, he can't escape the chase of this human face bird. This injury of his body was left to him by being caught up by the human face bird several times. But he felt a little strange. Obviously the speed of this monster is much higher than that of him, but it is always a speed that just keeps up with him, falling far behind him. Several times he felt wrong, and deliberately slowed his pace, and then immediately accelerated the speed of the human face bird hit. It was like deliberately letting him speed up and flee desperately. If I can catch up, I won't catch up, just play. Ji Ning gasped like a bellows, and his lungs were about to tear, making him feel very uncomfortable. This is a feeling he hasn't felt for a long time. Since entering the innate realm, he has never been so embarrassed, and now cultivation base has taken a step further, entering the Wendao realm and becoming a cultivator that can be regarded as a cultivator in the big realm, but he has become even more sad than before. What kind of evil did I do? Ji Ning sighed in his heart, and he turned his head and glanced slightly. Sure enough, the human face bird was still behind. Suddenly, there was a cry in his ear, and a red glow flashed in front of his eyes. Ji Ning was blasted away from a distance, and with a bang, he slammed into the iceberg behind him. Puff! Ji Ning coughed up blood. His eyes were dull. He knew what was going on without even thinking about it. It was the human face bird who saw him turning back. His speed slowed down, and he rushed up to give him a moment. This time, Ji Ning slumped under the iceberg, never getting up. This situation made a difference for the crimson-faced bird. It tilted its head, looked at Ji Ning, who was covered in blood, and blinked. Ji Ning also looked at it, and he lifted a sigh of effort and said in a low voice. Tired, destroy it, hurry up, Daddy won't run away. 57%. Chapter 151. Renmianiao didn't care about Ji Ning, who was sitting paralyzed on the ground without any movement, but turned around suddenly. Doraemon. The long knife gleaming with thunder collided with the sharp red feathers of a human-faced bird, clanging. With a missed shot, Li Fan retreated and came to Ji Ning's side. You are too slow. Ji Ning complained weakly. Li Fan smiled helplessly. It was a bit unexpected on the road. The brief exchange between the two stopped. Ji Ning didn't say much. He knew that Li Fan must not be easy facing the two terrifying weirdness alone. In fact, when he chose to lead this human-faced bird away alone, he never thought that he could wait for Li Fan's support. But he still chose to do this for no other reason. Comparing the two, if only one of the two can live, then Li Fan is more valuable than him. If the Purity Palace does not have him and Li Fan is still alive, then there is hope that the Purity Palace can continue to survive. He made such a choice, not to give up his life for justice, nor is he a person who is not afraid of life and death. It's just that every sect that lives on this land has more or less faced such a choice. To give everything for sect is the concept that every generation of sect in charge has been instilled since childhood. This is their fate, or sorrow. And he was qualified to seize the position of the Palace Lord of the Purity Palace from Chu Bianshan's hands, not just because of strength. His character is the most important for the inheritance of a sect. Otherwise, even if you cultivate a peerless genius, when it comes to a dangerous moment, this person is obviously a sect master, but only backhandedly abandons sect, then what is the use? So now he seems to have a chance to survive. Naturally, there is nothing to complain about. On the contrary, he is still in a good mood. Above the ice sheet, there was a gray mist, and one person and one bird looked at each other silently. Li Fan's body was flowing slowly, and he didn't immediately launch an attack. Judging from the brief encounter just now, he didn't have full confidence in defeating this monster. At the moment just now, he used his full strength to point Kangdao with 36 sword shadows, and without exception, all accurately slashed on the human face bird. But even the red feather on the opponent's body couldn't be broken. I need time to find out the weakness of this monster. Li Fan stalled for time, running to break the sacred pupil with all his strength. After the ascension, the sacred pupil of breaking the delusion had a remarkable ascension in ability. If it were originally, he faced such a human face bird whose strength was astonishing and comparable to the strength of the third realm of the Tao realm. Naturally, there is no talk of finding weaknesses in it. There is no other reason, not that it can't break the sacred pupil, but that the strength gap is too large. But now that Ascension's illusion-breaking pupils have made up for this gap and brought some new surprises to Li Fan. Li Fan could obviously feel that when he was running to break the sacred pupil at this moment, there was a brand new power flowing in his eyes, mysterious and mysterious. He could not distinguish the role of this force for the time being, but he faintly felt that this force might be able to bring him a lot of help. Opposite, the human face bird didn't have any idea to attack Li Fan's actions, which made Li Fan a little curious. We are not necessarily the enemy. The unique, sharp sound of the human face bird sounded like a piece of iron scraping across the stone wall. Although Li Fan was surprised in his heart, He still had no expression on his face, quietly waiting for the other party to continue talking. Human Face Bird raised one forefoot and pointed to Ji Ning, who was sitting on the ground, and said, I had countless chances to kill him just now, but I didn't. Just now you wanted to lead me away and kill those two idiots. I didn't intervene. This is my sincerity. Li Fan tilted his head slightly and looked at Ji Ning to his side, with thoughts in his eyes. This human-faced bird is obviously powerful, and it really doesn't make sense that he couldn't catch up with Ji Ning to kill him for so long. It seems that his words are true. What do you want? Li Fan asked. I feel that your thunder method is very mysterious. Give me the method and I will let you go. Human Face Bird said. A weird one wants to restrain their mastery of the five thunder supernatural powers. Li Fan couldn't figure out its intentions when he heard the words of the human face bird. However, Li Fan could not agree to this matter. This kind of magical power is unique, and he has no way to teach it to others. He had also tried before to teach Ren Guan and Hengqing the mastery of the five thunder gods, but after he wrote down the methods, the two of them couldn't understand and practice at all. Some things seem to be missing all the time, and Li Fan can't figure out what it is. Moreover, to surrender to the enemy, Li Fan has no such precedent and will not do so. Anything that his enemy wants to do, then it must be disadvantageous to himself, although even if he tells this human face bird the method of mastering the five thunders, it will not be able to practice. But Li Fan still didn't want to do this, he was never threatened. Moreover, this human face bird is not completely invincible. There was a blazing light flickering in Li Fan's eyes, which was the sight of the sacred pupils running at full force. At this moment, the human face bird opposite him was in his eyes, slowly fading all the color, leaving a cloud of white light. He clearly saw that there were densely packed crystal blood vessels in the body of the human face bird in front of him. The airflow in the blood vessels converged on the pair of bat wings behind it, and then spread from the bat wings to the whole body for a short time. This pair of bat wings is like a humming engine, which is very conspicuous in Li Fan's eyes. The pair of bat wings behind the human face bird seems to be its core. Li Fan had a decision in his heart. He slowly shook his head and rejected Ren Mianiao's proposal. Impossible. Do you know the price of rejecting me? There was a trace of disappointment on human face bird's face. If it weren't for worrying about meeting hands, failing to kill the opposing humans and losing the thunder method that was extremely important to it, it wouldn't be too lazy to talk nonsense. I have never been afraid of threats from others, Li Fan said with firm eyes. He raised the long knife in his hand and expressed the meaning of own with actions. I wanted to wait until I got Li Fa and leave you a whole body, but it's a pity. The bird on the human face screamed, and the bat wings shook behind it, bringing about howling gusts of wind. And its whole body flew into the air, looking down at Li Fan. Strong winds surrounded Li Fan and Ji Ning, forming a huge wind prison. Li Fan lifted Ji Ning, his body flashed, and rushed out of the wind prison. At this moment, the human face bird that fluttered its wings screamed. Splitting blade. Thousands of wind swept around Li Fan turned into sharp blades, lacing away at Li Fan. Li Fan faced the thin air knives shooting from all directions and had nowhere to hide. He stopped in place and stamped his left foot on the ground. A thick stone wall rises from the ground, one after another, arranged in an orderly manner around Li Fan. A huge stone wall was formed, and Li Fan was wrapped in it. Whoosh whoosh. The fine wind blade speeds through the air to bring out the sound of breaking through the air. Instantly hit the huge stone wall that was more than 10 meters high. 58%. Chapter 152 Fierce Battle with Human Face Bird Part 2. The wind blade swiftly cut like a torrential rain against the wide stone wall. The sound of banging and banging came from above the stone wall. Finally, a moment later, the tall stone wall was scarred and cracked. No longer able to resist the cutting of the wind blade, it collapsed with a bang and turned into rubble, revealing the two leaf fans in the stone wall. And a lavender light curtain resisted the last remaining wind blade. There was gunpowder and rubble everywhere. Li Fan looked at the human face and birds above 100 meters in the sky silently. After entering the foundation building, he can actually fly in the air for a short time, but the altitude and speed are extremely limited when flying. The height of his flight is just as high as that of the human face bird, but this does not mean that he can attack the human face bird. After all, being a bird is weird and has a huge natural advantage with a human cultivator. Li Fan does not think that the height of 100 meters is the limit of the human face bird. It is not wise to give up own advantage and choose to fight with human-faced birds in the air. But fortunately, He also has the advantage of own. Clearly know that I have thunder, and you chose to fight me in the air. I really don't know if you are confident or stupid. Li Fan thought. Yu Qing began to clear. The true talisman told the alliance. Move the second chi, mix one into reality. 5 thunders and 5 thunders, anxious to meet Huang Ning. Encountered changes, roaring lightning fast. The sound is coming, and the sound of the sun will be heard quickly. Illness. Li Fan called a large amount of true essence in his body, and even Lei Fako, which he hadn't used for a long time, said silently. This is the first time since he entered the foundation building realm that he has fully demonstrated his mastery of the 5 thunder magical powers. The gloomy sky was instantly stained with thick ink by the dark clouds, which looked deep and terrifying. The cyan thunder pulp mixed with the beating flame and the dark yellow halo, forming an extremely terrifying coercion. Wood produces fire, fire produces soil, native gold, gold produces water, and aquatic wood. 5 elements reinforces each other. Although only the 3-color thunder pulp surged above the sky at this moment, its power was already creepy. If he can complete the last golden thunder and water thunder cultivation, Li Fan can imagine that the complete mastery of the 5 thunder supernatural powers at that time will definitely bring him great surprises, and destroy all the enemies that should be in front of him for him. The rich heavenly power quietly radiated in the thunder light, and seeing the sky that suddenly became dark, a touch of anxiety appeared on the human face and the bird's face. It has long been accustomed to using its talent as a bird, but it subconsciously ignored the most terrifying human spell below it. The human face bird turned its body and came hurriedly in the direction of Li Fan on the ground. It's a pity. It's too late. At this moment, above the sky, a vast thunder light that had never been seen before quietly condensed into a sharp thunder spear. The speed of the tricolor thunder spear aimed at the figure of the human face bird in the air, and stabbed it brazenly. Boom! Before the human face bird approached Li Fan below, the 3-color thunder spear had already pierced into its body fiercely. No, the human face bird's face was painfully distorted, and the power of the 3-color thunder was extremely restrained from its existence of half-weird and half-demonic beasts, making it a realm far higher than Li Fan's existence, and it was somewhat irresistible. On the human face bird's body, a weird mist mixed with peculiarities and majestic demon power poured out in large quantities, forming a solid defense on its body surface. But it is of no use. The 3-color thunder spear exuding terrifying power came close to the human face bird's body inch by inch, tearing the mixed power covered by it bit by bit. Sneer. The spear pierced into the human face bird's body, then quickly penetrated, and finally dissipated. A hideous blood hole appeared in the huge monster with a human face bird more than 10 meters long. No blood was spilled on its body, and a closer look could reveal that the flesh and blood around the human face bird's wound had long been completely turned into coke by the intense heat of the thunder spear. The human face bird uttered a sharp cry in the air, then fell straight from the air, and fell into an iceberg with a thud. The huge monster body smashed the hard iceberg into a hole full of cracks. The human face bird was silent, and seemed to have been beheaded by that powerful thunder spear. Ji Ning, who was held horizontally by Li Fan in his hand, coughed. Seeing Li Fan's blow, he shot down the human face bird who was chasing him with no way to the ground. Ji Ning's heart was shocked. Leader Li's strength is really unfathomable. He looked hesitantly and said, "Leader, you can put me down now." Li Fan has always been held in his hand in this position, although it is to avoid serious injury to him being beheaded by the wind blade just now, but it is really a bit embarrassing. Li Fan returned to his senses, and glanced at the robe in his hand that had been cracked by him, and there was a faint touch of white Ji Ning, and quickly let go of his hand. With a bang, Ji Ning made intimate contact with the frozen ground. On the ground, Ji Ning silently wiped off the traces of blood flowing out of the cracked wound on his forehead, and then unnaturally tossed the robe on his buttocks. "Leader Li, if the human face bird is dead, do we go over and see?" Li Fan took out a medicine pill from the system backpack that he had prepared and used it to recover his true energy and swallowed it. While staring closely at the place where the bird fell on the human face, he replied, "How is it possible that the big bird is pretending to be dead and wants to lie to us?" Li Fan, who has the system, can't deceive him at all about the enemy's suspended animation. Compared to choosing to explore with his own eyes, he believes more in the prompt sounds of the two systems. If the human face bird had just been killed by his 5 thunder supernatural powers, he should have earned his merits now. However, he waited for a while and did not hear the prompt sound, so he naturally knew the plan of the human face bird. Since the big bird likes to play this method, let it go. Anyway, Li Fan doesn't believe that the human face bird can recover from his serious injury in a short time. On the contrary, it was him, because just now he fully used his mastery of the 5 thunder magical powers, and his body's true essence lost a lot of it, and his combat power dropped drastically. Now that human face bird pretended to be dead and wanted to yin him, he also took the opportunity to swallow medicine pill to restore his strength. Finally, after waiting in the iceberg for a long time, Li Fan couldn't bear it. In this short period of time, it first used the demon power in its body, and placed a wind-binding technique around it that could limit the Li Fan movement technique. Then he began to try to use part of his weird characteristics to absorb the fog in the surrounding space to recover his injuries. It is a pity that no matter how much fog it absorbs, it cannot recover from the injury. The power of thunder remaining in its body is preventing it from absorbing the mist and recovering its injuries. Damn it, the weird powers in my body that have always disgusted me before, but at this moment, because of lack of power, they can't achieve the effect of quickly recovering from injuries like those weird. Human face bird was helpless, and could only rush out of the ice with a severely injured body. It had known before that the kind of thunder technique Li Fan mastered was very mysterious, but it never expected that this thunder technique would be so restrained against it, and it could seriously hurt it with a single blow. There was a tangled look on human face bird's face, and Crimson's eyes rolled around. It flew and landed at a distance of kilometers away from Li Fan. Li Fan, who had just restored his true essence to its peak state, saw the human face bird appear. He shook his long sword and heard the unique sharp sound of the human face bird before he could shoot. My lord, don't fight, I surrender. 58%. Chapter 153 The Secret of the Human Face Bird. Ji Ning and Li Fan were a little confused for a while when they heard the words of the human face bird. They have fought with these weird, demonic beasts for so long, and this is the first time they have encountered such a surrender. Leader, be careful of fraud, Ji Ning said with a serious expression. Li Fan nodded. Naturally, he would not believe the words of this unknown human face so easily. He looked at the appearance of the human face bird cautiously tentatively in the distance, his eyes were slightly squinted, and Zhen Yuan said, since I have surrendered, I still can't come. Human face bird blinked and looked at the surging thunder power on Li Fan, standing still on the spot. What a joke. No one accepts the surrender and secretly condenses the spells. It's too obvious to want to lie to me. Quote, I really gave up. I want to discuss something. You first disperse your thunder and let me go. Human face bird said in the distance. It's a long time. If you say you surrender, I will accept it. Discuss it, Li Fan said in disdain. Now his state has been restored to its peak, full of true essence. And the human face bird aura on the opposite side was sluggish, and the injuries on his body that had just been caused by him hadn't healed for a long time. In the face of such a human face bird, he is sure to defeat it even by relying solely on his own sword skills. And he was very interested in this obviously overly clever, and he knew the human face bird who surrendered. If he could be captured alive, it might be able to answer many of his doubts. Thinking of this, Li Fan no longer hesitated, his figure turned into a plume of smoke and rushed towards the face of the bird. This pervert, seeing that Li Fan didn't accept its surrender at all, the human face bird approached it quickly instead. Its wings spread out behind it, resisting the severe pain and fleeing in the opposite direction. On the wide ice sheet, one person, one bird, one running, and one chasing. Only this time, the identities of the prey and the hunter have changed. When Ji Ning saw this scene in the distance, tears of excitement were left in the corner of his eyes. You have today too. Wind binding, wind blade, air splitting, earthen thorn, earthen shield, fire thunder, wood mine, earth mine. One person, one bird, all methods are used, and the spells fly randomly. On the way, when the human face bird saw that Li Fan couldn't get rid of it, he fiercely ignored the open wound between his chest and abdomen due to violent action, fluttered his wings and flew straight up. 30 meters, 50 meters, 100 meters. Gradually, the human face bird reached its limit. It was high above the sky, and the wound on its chest and abdomen completely cracked and spilled a large amount of blood. But the effect was obvious, and Li Fan did not catch up. Human face bird looked at Li Fan, who was standing on the ground, and a trace of triumph flashed across his face. How can a low-level human cultivator catch up with me in my home court? Hiss. Feeling the severe pain on his body, another burst of hatred came out of the red eyes of the bird on the human face. Asshole, don't let me find a chance, you will definitely pay the price for what you did today. Enduring the severe pain of the flesh, the human face bird spread its wings and slowly flew away. On the ground, Li Fan's face was a bit tangled, but seeing that the human face bird had shaken his almost unsupported body, his legs were slightly bent, and then he slammed up. If you can catch this human face bird, these weird strongholds in the Kanglan region, and why the sudden disaster in the 10 regions will have a chance to figure out, it's worth taking a little risk. Above the sky, the human-faced bird flew slowly and leisurely, wanting to leave this area as soon as possible and find a safe place to recover from the injury first. This bastard cultivator, obviously I have shown weakness just now, but still want to kill me, and just now I just wanted to exchange his thunder method with him, so he started so hard. Damn, don't let me run into him, or he will have cramps, bones and ashes. Quote. When the human face thinks of the hate, his head droops slightly, wanting to see whether Li Fan above the ground is still there. Huh, people are gone, is it because I know I can't help but I've gone? That's right, just now that guy used such a tyrannical thunder method, and now he should have little power left in his body, how could he still have enough energy to release that kind of thunder method to attack me again? Quote. After thinking slightly, the hanging heart of the human face settled down. Above the densely foggy sky, a faint sound of breaking through the air was heard in the ears of the human face bird. No, its body quickly twisted, and it instantly changed its direction. At the moment it turned around, it suddenly saw the human cultivator that annoyed it once appeared in front of its eyes. Moreover, the speed of the human cultivator was a bit faster than the injured one, and the human face and bird eyes were tossing about in the air with all their strength. But he couldn't get rid of Li Fan at all. At this moment, the human face bird is already exhausted, and there is no demon power in the body, and it is even difficult to support itself to fly at a low altitude of 100 meters. He wanted to release a few spells to stop Li Fan behind him, but he couldn't do it. Seeing Li Fan getting closer and closer behind him, Ren Mianiao's face was full of despair. After a cup of tea, Ji Ning looked at the dying human face bird, touched the wound on his body that had been scabbed after swallowing medicine pill, and raised his brows, quietly kicking the human face bird. Li Fan, who was interrogating the human face bird, raised their heads together with the human face bird on the ground, and glanced at Ji Ning. Ahem, I'm afraid it will faint, give it a refreshment, don't you mind? Ji Ning scratched his head and said with a simple expression. Human face bird looked at Ji Ning angrily, and then heard a hoarse voice. It's really a tiger falling to Pingyang and being bullied by a dog. When Ji Ning heard this, the foot that had just been put down lifted up again. Li Fan stopped Ji Ning from wanting to continue beating the human face bird, and looked at the human face bird and said, according to what you said, you want me to ask for Lei Fa to expel the weird power from your body. You are not weird. Human face bird proudly said. Of course, how could I be that kind of inferior and disgusting creature, I'm just. Boom. Ji Ning gave it another kick. One person, one bird looked at Ji Ning again. Ji Ning smiled and glanced at Li Fan and said, Leader, I see this guy hesitating, and at first glance, he is making some horrible ideas. He wants to trick me into waiting, and I will teach him a lesson for you. Li Fan was a little helpless. A sect master in the Purity Palace of the Kanglan domain, a dominant figure in the domain, how could it become like this after being chased by a bird once when he came out? Sure enough, anger can dementia. Li Fan ignored him and continued to ask, so, you are controlled by the weird just like the hurting. What are you? The human face bird looked a little embarrassed, and replied after a long while, actually, I am the offspring of the ancient alien beast Fei snake bird. Originally, I lived well in the deserted forest of Kanglan region, because my strength was good, and the fog in this area was nothing to do with me, and it couldn't make me lose my mind at all. It's just that some time ago, a few tyrannical and ugly monsters suddenly found me. After some battle, I was not the opponent of those monsters at all. The other party didn't kill me, but used the twisted aura on them to forcibly control and transform me, making me like this, and had to obey them. Quote. Li Fan was thoughtful when he heard it. Ji Ning was also lost in thought. Fei Snake. 59%. Chapter 154 The Hidden Crisis. Suddenly, Ji Ning's eyes lit up, and he couldn't hold back his feet. Li Fan saw Ji Ning, who was eager to take the opportunity to avenge her being chased into a dog, and said, Wait, did you think of something, Ji Sect leader? Ji Ning said, My senior mentioned that there are snakes and 2 bodies on the mountain of Hunshi, called Fei Snake. When you look at the birds, you are lying again. It seems that if you don't teach it a lesson, it can't tell the truth, and it wants to lie to you and me when you die. Quote. At this point, a light flashed in Ji Ning's eyes. You said that as Fei Snake. I am the offspring of Fei Snake Bird. Don't talk nonsense if you have no education. Ren Mianiao quickly explained when he saw Ji Ning's attitude of wanting to avenge private revenge. Hearing the words of human face bird, Li Fan suddenly remembered what he had read in Shanghai recipe. Ah no, it was a passage in Shanghai Jing. It seems that there is indeed a record and description of Fei Snake Bird. It looks like a quail with a yellow body and a red beak. Its name is Fei Snake. Thinking of this, Li Fan had actually believed 70% of what he said to Ren Mianiao. After all, if it really wanted to lie, it would have to think of something more reliable. As far as the alien beast is concerned, it makes no sense to choose a Fei Snake Bird who can't stand up to its own looks. Li Fan looked at the face of the bird and said, the Fei Snake Bird has a yellow body and a red beak. How did you make it look like this? Human face bird was shy and angry, gritted his teeth and said, it's not the monsters yet. The twisting power that they poured into me to control me made me like this. In fact, compared to Li Fan who severely wounded it, it hated those monsters who turned it into such a ghostly appearance. After all, it is with Li Fan because it wants to snatch Li Fan's thunder and kills against it, and now it ends up like this. But those monsters. Thinking that in the Forest of Silence its friends were brutally tortured by those monsters and turned into puppets without saneness, it was full of resentment. If it weren't for its high realm, monsters that were just a bit stronger than it would not be able to make it into a puppet. I'm afraid it will inevitably end up losing the mind like those demonic beasts. After listening to its explanation, Li Fan didn't struggle with this matter anymore. Now it is more important to understand how many dangers are hidden under the water in this Kanglan region. They dispatched troops to the southern Moon Valley to rush for assistance, and could not tolerate a threat that could destroy their own sect at any time hidden in the Kanglan region. When I asked about this, the human-faced birds who hated those monsters knew everything they could say. Said everything it knew. It can't wait to let Li Fan go to trouble with those guys, it's best to get bloody. Hearing the words of human face bird, Li Fan and Ji Ning both showed dignified colors. They really didn't expect that in the Kanglan region where their eyelids lowered and settled down, there was such a huge astonishing power in the dark. Those weirdness are really uncomfortable. 30 sacred monsters of the realm, 500 demonic beasts and 10,000 fog souls that were not corroded by the mist because of their high strength. Above the human face bird, it is conservatively estimated that it is also a saint monster with the strength of the Dao realm on the fourth layer of the Dao realm. This is what the human face bird said it knew, and the full strength of the monsters that claimed to be saints lurking in the Kanglan region. Such a huge force hidden in the dark, capable of subverting the entire Kanglan region at any time, shocked Li Fan and Ji Ning. The two sighed in their hearts, trouble. Li Fan looked at the human face bird and continued, do you still know about the power arrangements of the saint race monsters in other regions? In addition, these monsters have left such a strong force in the Kanglan domain but have been slow to move. What are your plans? Ren Mianiao shook his head and said, I'm just a thug who is controlled by them. It's impossible for them to let me know about other places. As for their plans in the Kanglan domain, I have really heard of them. They arranged for me to take people to this extremely fire place where the immortal ascension was faked, and the purpose was to let us as far as possible to wipe out all the vital forces in the Kanglan region. Then he took the opportunity to liberate the Kanglan region at the least cost. Quote. Liberation. Humph, what they say is liberation is like the southern Moon Valley region where demons are dancing. Ji Ning said coldly. Then how can you be sure that what you know in this Kanglan region is all their strength? Li Fan worried in his heart. Among those monsters, except for the guy who can restrain me, my strength is the highest, because they are confident that my life and death are entirely within their thoughts. And that terrifying guy seems to have other things to do, so the matter of subduing the Kanglan domain was given full authority to me, of course I knew it. Quote. Ren Mianiao said with an arrogant expression. You seem to be quite proud. If you betray them, aren't you afraid of dying in the means they leave on you? Li Fan glanced at it. Isn't there still you, my lord? I feel that the thunder method on your body restrains the twisting force in my body. You must have a way to rescue me. As long as you expel the power that controls me in my body, I promise to serve the adults in the future. Human face bird's eyes flashed a gleam of light, and his cheeks were flattering. Hearing this, Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Your abacus is really loud. Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old kid? Save you. You don't keep your promise, run away, or just do it with me. Isn't the enemy and me no way? Will not. Okay, Needless to say, Li Fan couldn't believe what the human face bird said. However, he was still very curious whether he could restrain the power of the saint monster by mastering the law of the five thunders. The power of thunder surged in Li Fan's hand, reaching towards the bird in the face. When his palm touched the human face bird, a system prompt sounded in his ear. He looked at it and knew it. Human face bird was overjoyed when he saw it. If your grandfather, if I can escape from sea of bitterness, how could I still listen to you? Just wait. When Ji Ning saw Li Fan's actions, his heart tightened, and he wanted to persuade him to believe it, but when he saw Li Fan with a firm face, he still didn't say much. After so many things, he knew that Li Fan was not a reckless person. He believed in Li Fan's judgment. After a while, the thunder light in Li Fan's hands slowly dissipated, and he shook his head. My thunder method can indeed restrain that weird power, but it cannot expel the power it left in your body. If you forcibly collide with that force, you will die. Quote. When the human face bird heard Li Fan's words, his face was miserable. How could it? Is there really no way? Li Fan said indifferently, it's not that there is no way at all, but is the promise you just made really mean from the bottom of your heart? Li Fan's eyes were burning, staring at the human face bird. Human face bird's heart shuddered, and there was a moment of silence. If the adults can really save me from the monster's control, I promise to work for the adults in the future, but only for 10 years at most. The human face bird, who had just lost hope, but a ray of hope descended on him, finally spoke the true thoughts in his heart and said firmly. Li Fan didn't know if he didn't say much. He recalled the system prompt that resounded in his ears just now, and he had a decision in his heart. 59%. Chapter 155. The Pavilion of Thousand Beasts is activated, multiplying the human face bird by 100-fold. Li Fan recalled the system prompt sounded just now after Renmienbird agreed to surrender, and he was determined in his heart. Already demonic beasts have expressed their surrender. Congratulations to sect leader Li Fan for meeting the conditions of use of Wan Beast Pavilion. Special spell for Wan Beast Pavilion. Locking heart and controlling beasts has been activated. 9th rank Wan Beast Pavilion. Demonic beasts 0/50ths can be contracted. Demonic beasts that are 2 realms higher than the sect leader cannot be contracted. Sect leader can sign a contract with demonic beasts, and the demonic beasts who signed the contract have 100% loyalty to the sect leader himself, and there is no possibility of betrayal. Sect leader can modify the contract content and contract period according to the situation by itself. Seeing this prompt given by the system, Li Fan was pleasantly surprised. He was still hesitating just now, worrying that even though the human face bird expressed surrender in his mouth, in fact, he stabbed himself with a backstabbing at the critical moment, and the gain would not be worth the loss. However, the strength of the human face bird is high. It can be said that from what Li Fan is seeing now, in the entire Kanglan region, apart from his restraint against the human face bird, no one else can compete with it. Now that the Kanglan domain is worried about foreign affairs, if he can subdue such a powerful demonic beasts, it will also be a great help for him. Although it does not have much impact on the overall situation, it is better than nothing. No way, according to the human face bird, the current overall high-end power of the Kanglan domain is far worse than the hidden holy monster. The addition of every high-end combat power now has great significance for Li Fan to the entire Kanglan region. Saint monsters plus demonic beasts who were refined into puppets, a total of 530 enemies with Dao realm strength, plus more than 10,000 fog souls that are no less threatening than the human face bird. And among them, the most mysterious, and also the most fearful of Li Fan, is the enemy of the Saint Chieftain who is 1 level higher than the human face bird. Thinking of these makes Li Fan quite a headache. Even if he has a 100-fold increase, but in a short period of time, Ascension can't fight against so many enemies in the realm. How can he fight? Forget it. Let's take one step at a time. It really doesn't work. I have to build another mediation teleportation array, and take everyone to evacuate the Kanglan region first. Li Fan frowned slightly. At this moment, when the human face bird opposite Li Fan heard that Li Fan had a way to unlock the ban on it being planted by the weirdness, his mood was like a roller coaster. It looked at Li Fan blankly, with anticipation in its eyes. Li Fan saw this in his eyes. Because of the sudden activation of the Myriad Beast Pavilion, he had a full grasp of unlocking the restrictions on the human face bird at this time. Once the human face bird passes through the system of 10,000 Beasts Pavilion, enter into a contract with him. The restrictions under that weird cloth must no longer exist. Comparing weight with the system and competing for control is a joke. Do what you want. After Li Fan guided and activated the pavilion of 10,000 beasts, he mastered the method of controlling beasts and began to try to make a contract with the human face bird on the ground. An absurd rune, which came out of Li Fan's fingertips, was printed directly on the eyebrows of the human face bird. The whole process went smoothly. Originally, Li Fan thought that if the human face bird would not cooperate, the contract would fail as a result. But the result was completely beyond his expectation. During the contract process, the human face bird did not respond, and the Lockhart and control beast method of the 10,000 beast pavilion did not give the human face bird a chance to resist and react. The rune engraved with restrictions was imprinted on the eyebrows of the human face in an instant, making it impossible to react or resist. Obviously, the hard-locking beast control method produced by this system is extremely overbearing. As long as demonic beasts expresses surrender, even if it is only verbal, there is absolutely no possibility of failure. Thinking of this, Li Fan felt a little turmoil in his heart. If this is the case, can I form a demonic beasts army to fight those weirdness? However, the rank of the 9th rank Royal Beast Pavilion is still too low, and the number of demonic beasts that can be contracted is only 50. And with his current strength in the foundation building realm, if he corresponds to the Dao realm, it would be the demonic beasts of the 3rd realm of Dao realm that can contract the human face bird, which is the 3rd realm of Dao realm. But it's enough. It's useless if he can't beat him at a high level. At least he must first defeat the demonic beasts that he wants to contract and let him express his willingness to surrender. If the contract quota can be increased after the upgrade, then Li Fan is going to look at the situation of the human face bird after being contracted before making any plans. After an hour, Li Fan finally heard the system prompt. Congratulations to Sect leader Li Fan for successfully contracting demonic beasts Fei Snake on the 1st floor of the aura. Fei Snake Bird Attribute Panel. Demonic beasts. Fei Snake Bird Nameable. Realm. 1st floor of the aura. Qualification. Medium talent, speed of practice, speed of transformation, 20% of ascension. Bloodline talent. Has the ability to restrain demonic beasts, crustaceans and insects, and damage ascension by 50%. My dear, it finally succeeded. It took a lot of time. After the contract was successful, Li Fan felt a subtle but stable sense of connection from human face bird, as if his heart moved, human face bird could accurately perceive his commands. Before he waited to see if the weird restrictions in the human face bird were expelled, another reminder sounded in Li Fan's mind. Ding! Congratulations to Sect leader for successfully contracting demonic beasts, gaining a 100-fold increase, and you can choose the increase option. Option 1. Increase demonic beasts Fei Snake Bird qualification. The current Fei Snake Bird qualification is medium, you can choose to increase it to the best. Superior cultivation talent. Ascension speed of practice is 200%, and the spiritual state can transform the form and realize the rhyme of Taoism. Option 2. Increase the strength of demonic beasts Fei Snake Bird. Currently Fei Snake Bird realm is on the 1st floor, and you can choose to increase it to the 9th floor of Ming Dao Jing. The two options are simple and rude. One is to achieve a higher realm in the future, enhance the human face bird's cultivation talent, and let it transform early so that it can feel the rhyme of heaven and earth. This will greatly help the human face bird's later practice. It can be said that if the human face bird's aptitude can be ascension to the best. Originally, the human face bird may have worked hard for 100 years and could not enter the Ming Dao realm, but after becoming a qualification ascension, the human face bird can definitely break through to the Ming Dao realm for up to 3 years. Seeing this, Li Fan didn't hesitate to choose the second item, the strength of ascension. He and Renmianiao only signed a 10-year contract, which was agreed at the beginning. Once 10 years have passed, one person and one bird will be paid. Li Fan naturally doesn't worry about whether the path of spiritual practice behind the human face bird is smooth. What's more, what Li Fan needs most is a real helper from realm, not a high talent and great potential, but it can't help him too much and needs the oil bottle he cultivated. Li Fan made a decisive decision in his mind, choose the second item to increase the strength of the human face bird. 59%. Chapter 156 Epic Missions and System Rankings Open. At this time, as soon as the contract was established, the human face bird felt that the twisting force that controlled it in its body suddenly dissipated from its body. This surprised it, and then it was ecstasy. I finally got rid of the control of that group of bastards. The bird is free. From now on, no one will want to control the bird, but I just promised this human. Human face bird hesitated, Forget it, 10 years is still too long for this bird, but since it has promised this human, then this bird will help him temporarily. When the disgusting monster who controlled the bird is killed, the bird will sneak away again. Quote. The human face bird who is still beating receptor's abacus in his heart uses his own demon power to carefully check whether there are any weird restrictions remaining in the body. When its demon power sweeps across the eyebrows, its heart chuckles. It felt a more terrifying force in its own eyebrows than the restrictions left behind by the weird controlling it. Renmianiao immediately understood what was going on. It just came out of Longtan and entered the tiger's den. After understanding Owen's situation, the human face bird wailed in his heart. At this moment, a warm current of heat surged from its body, and then gradually increased and covered its whole body. The human face was at a loss and wondered what was going on. What is this? It's so mysterious. This bird actually feels that own realm is slowly ascension. How is this possible? Ascension, a hundredfold increase, comes quickly, and goes quickly. In just 10 breaths, the human face bird has completed its transformation. In other words, it was not a metamorphosis but a complete change of appearance. The weird bat wings, hexapods, and human faces all disappeared. A bird with a yellow body and red beak, like a quail, appeared in front of Li Fan. Compared with the giant strange bird that stretched its wings more than 10 meters before, the appearance of the human face bird at this time is very compact. But it was such a little bird that seemed harmless to humans and animals and a little bit cute, but its aura was many times stronger than before. A strong, majestic coercion came from the transformed human face and bird body, making Li Fan faintly shocked. Ji Ning beside Li Fan was stunned. What's going on? How can this guy suddenly become so strong? As soon as the human face bird on the 9th level of the Ming Dao Jing appeared, it brought endless pressure to the two of them. Human face bird woke up and felt the majestic demon power in its own body and the body that had returned to its normal state. It was extremely excited and screamed. It first glanced at the two of Li Fan, and then felt the contract force before its eyebrows that made it still frightened, and dropped its head helplessly. The bird flapped its wings and jumped onto Li Fan's shoulders, rubbing his head against Li Fan's neck, revealing a flattering voice, "Thank you for the master's help." Li Fan touched the beautiful feathers of the bird's face and responded. Seeing that the transformation of the human face bird was completed, and realm ascension reached the 9th floor of the Ming Dao realm, his heart was also agitated. It seems that what I just wanted to establish, the demonic beast's legion, has come to an end. Thinking of this, Li Fan patted the shocked Ji Ning on the shoulder. Ji Sect leader. Ji Ning was still immersed in the sudden transformation of the human face just now, and was shocked for a long time to be unable to himself. He really couldn't understand. Obviously just now, he was still a dying face bird. How could it be ascension so much by Li Fan's fingertips? Hearing Li Fan's voice at this moment, he slowly recovered, with a little hope in his eyes. Leader, just now. Can you give me a shot? In fact, I feel that I can save it too. Li Fan rolled his eyes. Ji Ning's words made him speechless. Ji Sect leader, this is the function of a method of controlling beasts that I have mastered before, so don't think about it. Hearing Li Fan's words, Ji Ning's face was a little disappointed. Li Fan ignored him and continued. This time, the matter of exploring the extreme fire land can also come to an end. There are more things this time, and you need to work harder for the sect leader. Like the 8 sect leaders who were exploring the extreme fire together with them this time, except that he and Ji Ning were all killed here, this matter must be dealt with, otherwise Ji Ning will not return to the Pure Palace. Law confession. Li Fan took off the photo camera and handed it to Ji Ning. As long as the impact recorded in this photo mirror is shown to those people, they will be able to understand what is going on. And the anger of each case, including the death of the 7 sect leaders, will also focus on the 25th Sun Wanfajai. In addition, I know that with the cooperation of the 10,000 Beast Pavilion and the 100-fold increase, it can quickly ascension the human face bird realm. Li Fan also made a decision in his heart. At present, it is impossible for them to fight against these hidden holy monsters with their overall strength in the Kanglan domain. But if he can conquer more demonic beasts as powerful as the human face bird, then he will be sure to start a war with those saint monsters. Although the 10,000 Beast Pavilion currently has only 9 ranks, and if you want to upgrade the 10,000 Beast Pavilion, you still need the sect rank of Qian Yuanzong to ascension again. Obviously, there is no way to upgrade the 10,000 Beast Pavilion temporarily. But the problem is not big. As long as he can conquer 50 demonic beasts of the Tao realm, and in the case of the 10,000 beast pavilion with a hundredfold increase, the ascension increase of the demonic beasts contracted with him will be enough to flatten those saints in the Kanglan territory. Monster. So now Li Fan does not intend to go back with Ji Ning, but to prepare to continue to subdue other demonic beasts. Li Fan informed Ji Ning of this matter, and asked him to wait until the time of 7 days arrived, and first led the Kanglan region 100 Sect Alliance to send troops to assist the southern Moon Valley region. When he finishes handling the affairs of Kanglan domain, he will rush to meet them. After a while, Li Fan explained everything. Ji Ning put away the photo mirror and said goodbye to Li Fan. Leader, pay attention to safety. We are waiting for you in the southern Moon Valley. Li Fan smiled and nodded. Ji Ning turned and left. At this moment, on the land of extreme fire, as for Li Fan, standing alone on the vast ice field, one person and one bird. At the beginning, Li Fan was very excited to hear the news of extreme fire from the two people of Rengguan and Hengqing. After all, this is related to whether he can use the law of heaven to break through the foundation building in the next step. But now, on the one hand, his cultivation base is staying on the 5th floor of the foundation building, which is still some distance away from the completion of the foundation building. On the other hand, so many things happened in this short trip, and it was the rebellion of the herding, and the powerful threat hidden in the Kanglan region was learned from the mouth of the human face. He was not in the mood to take care of this extremely hot place. Anyway, he couldn't run long legs in this place, so he silently recorded the location. Li Fan looked at the relaxed human face bird on his shoulder, and said, "You have heard what Ji Ning and I said just now. Take me to find other demonic beasts who have reached the Tao realm. Now the Kanglan domain needs our cooperation. Come against those saint monsters." When the human face bird heard Li Fan's words, his eyes also showed a little dignity. It nodded, and told Li Fan where the demonic beasts, which they knew were good, lived. But unfortunately, Li Fan sorted out the information that Renmianiao gave him, and the number of powerful demonic beasts that Renmianiao knew about was only more than 20. It was still a lot short of the 50 places in the Wan Beast Pavilion. But there is no way. The habitat of the human face bird is mainly the Nirvana forest. It is not familiar with the rest of the place, and most of the demonic beasts it knows in the Nirvana forest have been captured by those weirds. As a result, there are only 2 or 3 big cats and kittens in it now. Li Fan sighed softly in his heart. Let's take a step and take a step, first to subdue the demonic beasts that the human face bird said, and talk about other things. Looking at the human-faced bird on his shoulder, which was much smaller, Li Fan suddenly thought, now the human-faced bird has changed. It feels a bit weird to call it that way, and the name of the human-faced bird is really unpleasant. How about I give you a name? Li Fan said, looking at the faces of people around him. Human-faced bird blinked. A bad feeling came up in his heart, and said, Master, I don't think it is necessary. Li Fan groaned for a moment, and said, just call you Xiao Huang. Hey, have you listened to me? Is it okay to give me such a bad name without asking for my opinion? Renmianiao complained in his heart, and then said, good master, then it will be called Xiao Huang from now on. The bird was under the eaves and had to bow its head. Time flies, and 7 days later, the Kanglan Domain 100 Sect Alliance has assembled, and a full 300,000 cultivators are ready to go. This is the most elite cultivator in the entire Kanglan Domain. At the moment when the Kanglan region army stepped into the southern Moon Valley region, a rapid system reminder sounded in the minds of all Blue Star's 5 billion humans. Large epic mission domain weird confrontation is on. Please prepare for the wild big domain player. Task conditions. Destroy all the weirdness that will cause chaos in the wild and wild areas, and regain all the fallen areas. Participation conditions. All players can go to the wild and wild area to participate in the mission. Task reward. Depending on the degree of completion of the task, playing an important role in the task process or killing a large number of weird cultivators will receive huge rewards. Reward. Not limited to massive heavenly Tao merit, secret realm, spiritual vein, direct ascension of sect leader realm, talented blood body. Important hint. System leaderboard function has been fully opened. A total of personal power rankings, sect rank rankings, and 3 rankings for the number of weird kills. Top 100 in any of the top 3 lists will receive system rewards. The first ranking has been made public, and the player rewards for the first time on the list have been issued. Please join us in Ascension. The ranking is updated in real time, and the next reward will be 30 days later. One stone stirred up 1,000 waves. The loud system prompts hovered in the minds of all Blue Star's 5 billion players for a long time before they gradually dissipated. Large-scale epic missions and system leaderboard functions are all features that are turned on for the first time. The talented blood body, direct ascension sect leader cultivation base, secret realm, and unannounced mysterious rewards on the ranking list affect the minds of all Blue Star players. All players have a faint feeling in their hearts, heaven, it seems to be changing. 60%. Chapter 157 Going to the Wild and Wild region, the ranking is released. At the moment, the system chat interface, overwhelming news flooded. All are discussing the tasks issued by the system this time, and the feasibility of ranking rewards and going to the wild areas to participate in the epic tasks issued by the system. At this moment, although the system said that the rewards for the first leaderboard had been issued, everyone still couldn't see the ranking on the leaderboard. It can see a huge countdown on top of the 3 rankings, 9:49. There are still less than 10 minutes before the opening of the rankings. So everyone's attention was attracted by the epic tasks issued by the system. Everyone knows where this wild and wild realm is, I have never heard of it. Yeah, Sect on my side has only developed to the 8th rank. I only know that my side is a place called the Yunlin Great Region. What is this wild and wild region? Don't all of you have crossed into the Yunlin Great Region? The system's world chat interface messages have been swiped on the screen, and most players with lower levels of martial art have always only known about themselves on this 1/3 of the land. Many people know for the first time that this world has other places besides their own place. Fortunately, there are many Blue Star players, and some of them have broad news channels. Their news on the channel made everyone finally understand the tip of the iceberg of this vast world. Someone compiled a map of this corner of the world based on news from many players on the World Channel. According to known news, this world is called the Astral Realm. There are 3 continents in the Astral Realm. There are 18 domains under the 3 continents, and there are 6 domains under each continent. And there are countless small domains under each big domain. And all the Blue Star players who crossed over, basically only know the name of the place where they are. Through the information compiled by the player, everyone finally knows what the Wild and Wild domain is, the most borderline domain in the entire universe of stars. And according to the news from the players in the Wild region, they found that this Wild region is an extremely barren and dangerous place. Among them, the strength of the local sect forces can only be ranked at the bottom compared with other large domains. Basically, every other big domain has a second-rank sect sitting on the ground, suppressing a domain. And in this wild and wild area, according to the news of the players, only one 4th-rank sect force was found, and it was counted as the most powerful force among them. After careful analysis and comparison, the players also found a problem, that is, the weirdness in the wild and wild area seems to be more than that in other areas, and the fog is much denser. Regarding these issues, one of the players made a speculation. He guessed that the wildness of the vast realm may be because the living environment in it is too bad, which caused the sect cultivator in this big realm to fail to develop, so the forces in it are relatively weak. This remark sounds reasonable, and everyone has acquiesced to this fact, and not many people have delved into it. After all, for these players who are not in the wild and wild, the harsh environment in other regions will not hinder them, they just want to go there to participate in the task and get some benefits. And the players living in the wild and wild areas can't do anything about it, since they have crossed here, they can't do anything to change the bad natural environment here. However, they also had a plan in their hearts. When their strength was enough, wouldn't it be enough to relocate their clan to other big regions? As for now, they are in a wild and wild territory, but they occupy a favorable geographical position. Don't worry about how to go to the wild and wild realm just like players in other places in order to participate in system missions. The players' rewards for the system tasks can be said to be very greedy. According to their inference, the overall strength of this wild area is relatively weak. The predicament that the forces and cultivators cannot cope with here may not be that difficult for cultivators from other regions. As a result, the players are even more motivated to come to the wild area to participate in the mission. For fear that others will finish the task first, they won't be able to reap the benefits. But this wild and wild area is not close to us. How can I get there? In case it gets slow, the task might not have been completed early. I don't have a chance to participate. Someone in the chat interface asked the question that everyone is most concerned about now. Many people are discussing this question, but no satisfactory answer has appeared for a long time. It seems that in this epic mission, we players who are not in the wild and wild area cannot participate. It's a pity. I really envy the group of players who are in the wild as soon as they cross. Yes, however, there are so many blue star players, not everyone can do it. A man with sharp eyebrows has a strong aura, and at a glance, the blood chi in his body is exuberant to the extreme, and he is the cultivator of innate's peak. At this moment, the man is doing lotus position breathing exercises. After a while, he Shen exhaled a sigh of breath and stood up. It's a bit interesting in the wild and large area, the epic mission. It seems that the second rank teleportation array I found is finally useful. This mission I will definitely be the best. A woman in a yellow dress with an oval face and a flat face silently urged the shining talisman in her hand, muttering in a low voice like an oriole. Is it an innate bloodline body? I'm about to enter the Tao realm soon. I must get a strong innate body before the Tao realm, so that the follow-up path of cultivation will be smoother. I hope this system mission will not let me down. Quote. All over the star realm, among countless sect forces, the player 8 immortals of the blue stars crossed the sea to show their magical powers, and used their own methods to rush to the wild area at the center of the whirlpool at this moment in every possible way. This time there is a chance to be able to reach the wild players, all of which are in the sect system, the elite players at the top of the pyramid. Roughly speaking, there are millions of players who have the power to enter the wild realm this time, and the lowest power is realm above the Guanli realm. For a time, the wind was surging. In the System World Chat Interface channel, many players who did not have the means to rush to participate in the task side. But it didn't take long for their attention to divert. After all, if you can't go, and it's useless to increase your troubles. But the other ranking function that the system opened this time is related to each player. This is a good opportunity to accurately recognize the gap between the strength of other players and oneself. Everyone also wanted to see. It has been 5 months since they came to the realm of the stars, and the players who have passed through have developed to what extent, whether they are all similar to themselves. The countdown to the top 3 rankings is also step by step towards the end. 003, 002, 001, 000. Finally time returned to 0, and a piece of golden light slowly dissipated. Dense small prints appeared on the system leaderboard interface. 60%. Chapter 158. Number 1 on the 3 lists, Enchanting Li Fan. It's out. It's finally out. I feel that this time, I should be able to make the list. The one upstairs is thinking about fart. Stop chatting. Hurry up and take a look at the list. Personal power ranking. This list does not provide player real realm. The strength is displayed by the combat power value. 100. Yunling Domain. Lengji power value 3000. 99. Yunling Domain. Zhonggong power value 3050. 13. Qishan Domain. Shangxing combat power value 38,900. 10. 100 battles. Meihu combat power value 40,100. 5. 4. Yunling Domain. Zhonglusi combat power value 60,400. 3. Qishan Domain. Sen Hisong combat power value 60,500. 2. Great Domain of 100 battles. Xiaofeng combat power value 65,300. 1. Reckless and Wild Area. Li Fan combat power value 985,000. Sect ranking list. 100, 80, 30. 10. Guiyuan Hall, the 6th rank sect, the Lord of the Palace, Shangxing. 4. Qingtao Mountain, 6th rank sect, Mountain Owner, Sen Hisong. 3. Feihong Valley, the 6th rank sect, the Owner, Zhonglu Si. 2. Fenshan Pavilion, 6th rank sect leader, Pavilion Master, Xiaofeng. 1. Qian Yuanzong, 5th rank sect, sect leader Li Fan. Killing Weird Quantity ranking. 100. 5. Meihu Weird Kills, 1976. 4. Sen Hisong Weird Kills, 2042. 3. Zhonglu Si Weird Kills, 3057. 2. Xiaofeng Weird Kills, 3205. 1. Li Fan the number of weird kills, 16,643. In the system, 3 lists of golden lights dazzled in front of the players. Everyone started to look up at the bottom of the list, trying to find the own name from it, but unfortunately this was completely blinded. If the player is really on the top of the list, there is no need to work so hard to know their ranking on it, and the system will naturally give a prompt directly. The players looked at the list, and someone got the system prompt, knowing that they were in the top 100, and they were very excited. Someone glanced at the top of the list without giving up, trying to find the name of Own. It was a pity that it was all in vain. In the end, I could only look at other famous players on the list, feeling sad, and feelings of envy and jealousy flowed in my heart. I'm number 99th on the Sect ranking list, ha ha ha. Congratulations. Yes, brother, I am on the personal combat power list, ranking 54th. FK. The boss has appeared, the boss is good. Big guys still don't accept pendants, I can be cute, LL or YJ sounds are fine. Huh, the head upstairs seems to be a man, right? Don't tell me, I took a closer look, this TM is a big man, vomit. I vomited. Ah, my eyes are blind. As the ranking of the list was fully revealed, everyone thought of the topic just now. HMPH, what did I just say? The cultivator of my Youngling domain on these 3 rankings accounted for a full 50%. So what? Although your Youngling domain has a large total on the list, my 100 battle domain is not bad, and 4 of the top 10 in the 3 lists are my cultivator of the 100 battle domain. The high-end combat power is still more than I have 100 battles. Quote. The idle cultivator of the Youngling domain and the 100 battles domain was arguing one by one because of such meaningless things, but this is also normal. Every cultivator who crossed to the realm of the stars struggled to survive in this misty world every day. Finally, a topic appeared, and they also found a way to vent. All temporarily put aside their worries about survival and plunged into this knowingly meaningless but interesting debate. Suddenly a player's speech caught everyone's attention. I remember that you just said that my cultivator is poor in strength. Didn't you see that the first player on the top of the 3 lists is our cultivator? As soon as this speech came out, the World Chat channel was silent for a while. It's not that they didn't see the name of the top of the 3 rankings, but just like the indifferent remarks they made about the wild big domain just now, it is a bit embarrassing in retrospect. And first in the 3 lists, this name is really scary. We must know that the players in the entire system just came over and there were more than 7 billion players. Although there are only more than 5 billion players left to survive, they are still a huge number. As soon as the system's 3 major rankings appear, it can be said that each of the top 100 players on the list can be called the pride of heaven. And those 3 rankings are the first Lee fan. They really can't describe it in words, this is simply evil. Huh, what did you say about the Lee fan boss? I remember that the whole system reported that he was the first to kill the weird and the first to upgrade the Sect rank. I remember, it is indeed. Looking at it this way, Lee Fan showed his great strength as soon as he came to the realm of the stars. Actually, I have a question. Didn't you see it? Let's leave the Sect list in the 3rd list aside for the time being. That person's battle power list and kill list Lee Fan's numbers are a bit perverted. Just now, everyone just paid attention to the rankings and whether they were on the list. They really didn't pay attention to the detailed data on the list. After he reminded everyone, they looked at the detailed data of the 2 lists. Hundreds, tens of thousands, damn it. What's the situation? More than 985,000 combat power. Obviously, the combat power value of the 2 bosses who are 2nd and 3rd is only about 60,000, right? Looking at the data of the top 10, everyone's combat power value is almost the same. Why did the painting style change suddenly when I got to Lee Fan? Did the system make a mistake? I hit an extra 0. Quote. With so much energy in the system, can this little thing be mistaken? You are a programmer who can only write bugs. The one upstairs was too much, and I was offended. I was wrong, brother, don't care about these details. Although I know that the system can't make mistakes on such simple problems, Lee Fan's power value is indeed a bit abnormal, right? What realm has this reached? Innate realm. Impossible, I am innate realm, but the combat power value has just reached 60,000. The top 10 leaders in the personal power rankings have appeared. I believe that the leaders, in that case, it seems that the top 10 in the power rankings, except for Lee Fan, should be innate realm. FK, that said, didn't Lee Fan enter the Dao realm? But it is still very strange. Is it possible that the realm's combat power value is more than 10 times different from the innate realm and the innate realm? Probably not. I guess Lee Fan should not only hear the realm of Dao realm, or there should be some tyrannical martial skill, or else I can't explain such an outrageous combat power value. You see, even if the top 10 leaders in the battle power list are all innate realm, but the battle power value is also high or low, it should be because of the personal mastery of the magic and the level of martial skill. Quote. Well, it really makes sense to say that, but I still can't understand these 2 situations. Isn't it the realm that is higher than the realm? You know that most of the more than 5 billion players are still in the Guanli and Tongqiao realms, which are 4 or 5 realms higher than everyone else. I feel that I have cultivated to the dog. Quote. It's not necessarily just the reason for the high realm, there are also the factors of magic and martial skill. You tell me what level of magic and martial skill do you need to practice to have such a strong combat power? Everyone was silent for a while, they really couldn't figure it out. But after the list this time, the name Li Fan is deeply in everyone's hearts. The 2 words wickedness are used to describe him as a perfect fit. 60%. Chapter 159. Southern Moon Valley Region, Ancient Spirit Sword Body, Storm Center. All players in the whole system have a strong curiosity and a sense of powerlessness towards this top 3 character. They don't have the mind to argue about which big domain player is stronger, anyway, they are not as strong as Li Fan. Finally, after a long while, on the World Chat channel, another message diverted everyone's attention and pulled them out of their deep sense of powerlessness. Mayhu. Look for friends who go to the wild and wild areas to participate in system missions. You can form a team together. Huh, what did I see? 10th in the personal battle list, killing the top 5 Mayhu bosses. What? Is there a way for the boss to go to the wild and wild area? Please bring it. Honesty asks, how did the boss go to the wild and wild area? Please share. Mayhu. Actually, this is not difficult. As long as you have a 3rd rank or higher formation or talisman that can be teleported over a long distance, you can do it. Can also go. Finally, if you have the ability to come to the wild and wild areas and are among the top 100 friends in the 3rd list, you can chat with me in private if you are interested in teaming up. Quote. Have you heard, the teleportation formation or teleportation talisman above the 3rd rank, dozens of thousands of miles shuttle talisman, Mayhu boss, this is Versailles tournament. It's over, it seems that I have no chance. I have nothing. I waste and I don't deserve to team up with a big guy. Boss, I have a private message on the 66th in the Sect ranking. Mayhu, I'm almost in the wild, but I haven't made the 3rd list. I don't know if I can team up with you and participate in the mission. Zhonglu Si. Mayhu, you can form a team, but how do you choose the team leader this time? And if you can still act independently after joining the team, you can choose to leave the team. I'm already numb. The top 4 in the top 3 and the top 4 Zhonglu Si have also appeared. They are already preparing to enter the wild territory, but I am still suffering from a weird headache that has appeared near Sect. Quote. Stop talking upstairs, me too. I think you can first take a look at the head of Zhonglu Si, who is not only superb, but also a big beauty. What? You said that I'm not sleepy anymore, let me kang, hiss, really? Mayhu. The captain will wait until everyone has gathered before discussing it. Of course, this kind of thing is for a capable person. I won't be brazen and insist on occupying the position of captain. The question of whether to leave the team depends on the specific situation. After all, everyone is rushing to this epic mission and rewards in the wild field. Since the team is formed, I can't just leave and leave, but for specific discussions, I have applied for friends, and the rest will be private chats. Quote. Zhonglu Si. Yeah, after a while, after Mayhu's proposal, many people on the top 3 list spoke on the chat interface, and then chose to chat with Mayhu privately, thinking about taking part in the mission in the wild and wild area together. The newly established chat group in the private chat function of the system. More than 200 cultivators are among the top 100 cultivators on the 3 lists. Mayhu. Have everyone set out now? Not yet, I may not be able to fill the teleportation array with spirit power tomorrow. Me too, it will take some time. Mayhu continued. In this case, I think we have just discussed in advance where to gather in the wild and wild region. After all, the wild and wild region is a big region with a vast area. If we can't reach the same place, then this team will be formed. It doesn't make any sense. Hearing Mayhu's words, everyone nodded in their hearts. That's right, the reason why they joined the team this time was to participate in the mission together and get warm together. To avoid personal dangers that are difficult to solve, and to ensure their own safety, get more scores in this mission to get the most benefit. If everyone is struggling to arrive in the wild and wild area, and they are scattered and unable to gather, then it loses the meaning of teaming. Zhonglu Si. I think that although the system mission location this time is set in the vast wilderness, the purpose of the mission is to conquer the lost domain and kill the weirdness. So in order to maximize the benefits, the range of choices we can suddenly narrow down a lot. According to the news from the Wild Big Territory player, and the system's prompt some time ago. The place that has been captured by the weird now is seizing soul territory, and the celestial fiend territory and star trapping territory are also in danger, and they are all asking for help. It stands to reason that we should go to these places better, but the crisis of this weird invasion and occupation of all regions should not be underestimated. The weird army that cannot be resisted by the power of a region, I don't think we can fight it afterwards. Quote. Well, what Zhang Sect leader said makes sense. It's true that although the overall strength of the wilderness domain is not very high, the 5th rank sect 6th rank sect power should not be lacking. With me waiting for these people in the past, it will not play a big role. If this is the case, it will not be able to conquer the lost ground. There are not many mission rewards. When Meihu saw Zhang Luxi's words, he nodded secretly in his heart. He said, Zhang Sect leader, according to you, I am waiting to choose which part of this wild region is the best. I think Nanu Valley is the best place to choose. First of all, according to the Southern Moon Valley player, the weird invasion of the Southern Moon Valley is also very fierce. The local cultivator fought by the weird army is losing ground, and the Southern Moon Valley is about to fall. But according to their news, the Southern Moon Valley region and its neighbor Kanglin region have reached an agreement, and the Kanglin region will immediately send troops to help, so the risk factor should not be large. Such a risk factor is not big, there are a lot of weirdness, and the place that is not difficult to conquer is the best place for me to wait. Zhang Lu thought. Hearing that Zhang Luxi's analysis of the current situation in the wild areas was very good, the examples cited were justified and well-founded, and everyone was convinced. After everyone discussed for a while, they finally decided to set the teleportation location near the Southern Moon Valley. 5 days later, gather in the Southern Moon Valley. After determining the meeting place, everyone also changed the topic, because everyone is a cultivator in the top 100 of the 3 major lists, and the point of discussion will naturally be on the list. First of all, Li Fan, who was at the top of the 3 major rankings, became the target of everyone's discussion at 8 trigrams. Regarding the specific strength of Li Fan, everyone at Realm is full of curiosity. With more than 980,000 combat power points, how did they achieve it, and to what extent the realm of Li Fan has reached their curiosity? However, 8 trigrams has been around for a long time, and I can't analyze the reason. Everyone knows nothing about the mysterious Li Fan, who is the number 1 in the 3 lists, and there is no information. And there is no record of Li Fan's speech on the World Channel. And in the group chat that Meihu blocked this time, Li Fan was not among them, and they didn't have to ask where they wanted to. Everyone understands this. After all, people are already in the wild, and the strength is so high that everyone does not know how much, so naturally there is no need to be with them. There is no news at all, and the enthusiasm for discussions on Li Fan has gradually faded. Suddenly the remarks of one of them aroused everyone's curiosity. The system reminded me just now that the rewards for the list have already arrived, so please see if you have received them. Hey, I also happened to be prompted by the system. I said why I didn't receive the reward when I heard the system announcement that the reward has been issued for the first time. It seems that there should be some delay. This reward. I feel like I'm about to take off. What do you mean upstairs? The player who spoke just now didn't say much, and directly posted the system rewards in the backpack. Innate blood body. Ancient spirit sword body. Natural swordsman. Superb talent and understanding of kendo. Can practice kendo for thousands of miles in a day. Physique can enter the Tao with the sword, and take the first level with the sword of Taoism. A simple name and introduction. As for the more detailed data introduction of this ancient spirit sword body, the cultivator who obtained this kind of talented blood body did not post it. After all, this kind of thing is the whole card of every cultivator. Naturally, it is impossible for people to know it easily. What kind of luck is this? I actually got the body of the talented bloodline, the separation of the mass wall that I envy. The leaderboard rewards are so horrible. No, I have to go and see what my rewards are. Even this simple 2-line text is enough to drive many players in the group crazy. The talented blood body appeared in front of the player for the first time. 61%. Chapter 160. Unknown map and spirit treasure good fortune pill. Since the blue star player came to the realm of the stars, it didn't take long for everyone to find that the path of cultivation was too difficult, and this path was indispensable. But in addition to these 4 things, there is one extremely important thing that must not be ignored, and that is talent. Talent is extremely important to everyone. If you just want to be a martial arts cultivator for a lifetime, that's all. But if you reach the peak of the martial realm and want to go further, it depends on whether your personal talent can support the cultivator's follow-up path of cultivation. Those with insufficient talents can practice martial arts, but cannot enter Dao. If you can't enter the Dao, then it is equivalent to being insulated from the Dao realm. Dao Jing, Dao Jing. What is repaired is a word of Taoism. Universe, heaven and earth, 5 elements, yin and yang, all kinds of martial arts, spells, weapons, 3,000 avenues. You can enter the Dao realm if you get one of them, and when you enter the Dao realm and comprehend the mastery of Taoism, then it will be reached the peak of the Taoist realm. It's not so easy to get Dao. The 3,000 avenue is said to be 3,000, but in fact it is endless. Everything exists in a reasonable way, and everyone can enter the Dao. But few people have been able to find the one that suits them best, so Dao realm can be said to have stuck the necks of countless cultivators in the world, making it rare for them to get in until death. For example, for the cultivator of the star realm who entered the sect practice from a young age, the difficulty for them to enter the Dao realm can be lower. This is the result of decades of hard work. There is always someone who is good at one of martial skills, spells, and thousands of weapons, and they have thoroughly studied them so that they can enter the Dao realm. As long as the resources are sufficient, entering the Dao realm will be a matter of course. Like the innate realm elder and Jining from the Qingjing Palace, they don't lack the understanding of their own path, they lack the opportunity to get to the door. Therefore, with a boundary-breaking pill that did not exceed a few hundred merits, Jining was able to cross the moat and enters into Yandi. But the blue star player is different. They have only been on the road of spiritual practice for only 5 months. The things that were touched in the previous life have nothing to do with the practice, and it is also with the assistance of the system and the ability to obtain the heavenly Dao merits by killing the weirdness to obtain resources. Only in just a few months, many people can step into the innate realm at the peak of the martial realm. But this is the end. They hadn't even studied the methods of practice that they had never been exposed to in the previous decades. To be honest, no one is good at it. No, there are always people with different talents, but there are too few. Most blue star players are really embarrassed to say what they are good at. Do you say that you are good at playing games and should be able to enter the Dao, or are you good at making plans and should be able to enter the Dao, or are you good at spending money and good at eating? This play should be out of reach of practice. Therefore, if they can't cross this threshold, their path of practice will be regarded as the end. Fortunately, blue star players have a huge base, and someone can always find some solutions. Among them, the most recognized by the audience is to obtain a talented blood body and improve their physical talents. For example, the ancient spirit sword body just now can greatly enhance the ascension cultivator's understanding of the path of swords, allowing people to practice swords at a rapid pace. In the end, it is easy to enter the Dao with the sword and enter the Dao realm. And this is what players are pursuing now. Therefore, in the team organized by Mayhu, how can everyone not be excited to see that someone has obtained a talented blood body? For all players, this is the life-saving capital that can continue the path of practice and continue to grow stronger in order to survive in this treacherous world. Therefore, all the famous players on the rankings are all excited at this moment. Damn, my reward is only 50,000 heavenly Dao merits, not a body of talented bloodlines, so I'm so annoying. Satisfaction upstairs, my reward is a second rank spell. It's not as good as the merit. You can accumulate and gather together, and strive to get some merits in this system mission, and save up to 100,000. I can redeem a talented blood body in the Star Palace. Quote. My reward is even worse, it's a mountain guarding formation. Brothers, do you say this reward is random or what is the situation? It's definitely not random. Didn't you find out that the higher the ranking, the higher the reward value of the players who have just been rewarded? For example, the brother who had just obtained the ancient spirit sword body was ranked in the top 20 in the personal combat power list, so he got such a talented body. The latter brother who obtained the second rank spell is ranked more than 70th in the sect rank. Can you say there is no gap? Quote. Sure enough, what I said, if it's random, it's too much luck. A player saw what he said just now, carefully compared the reward value obtained by the player who spoke, and nodded secretly. Above the top 3, the higher the ranking, the greater the reward value, and the lower the reward, the worse you get. On the third list, as long as the players ranked in the top 20, even if they don't get the talented blood body, the rewards they get are not much different from their value, and some are even higher. At this moment, Zhang Lucy was holding a plain yellowed jade slip with dense lines on it, which looked like a map carefully. On the outside of this volume of jade slip, dragons and phoenixes are engraved with several small seals in ancient Chinese characters. Zhang Lucy can only recognize these 4 small characters after carefully recognizing and guessing. This is called insights from the wall. What the hell is this? This is my reward. Zhang Lucy frowned slightly, his face showing a little helplessness. Doesn't it mean that the higher the ranking above the top 3, the higher the reward value? How come one of the rewards here is such a reward? I don't know where it leads to. There is something on the map. But fortunately, the rewards of the other 2 rankings are pretty good. Zhang Lucy glanced at a porcelain bottle lying quietly on the system backpack, as well as his own heavenly Dao merit points of more than 103,000, and a smile appeared on his lips, meaning, because she ranks among the top of the 3 lists, she has 3 rewards. In addition to the unintelligible map, the other 2 are the 100,000 heavenly Dao merit rewards and the fairy in the porcelain vase. Gold core shrouded in light. Among them, 100,000 merits. She intends to wait until the completion of this system task, and then accumulate some more, in exchange for a body that she has been fond of for a long time, which is extremely suitable for her. And that gold core, named Lingbao Good Fortune Pill, is a 9-rank elixir that goes beyond the first rank pill. The value of this medicine pill is even higher than that of 100,000 merits. According to what she saw in the Star Palace, if this Lingbao Good Fortune Pill was exchanged with merit, it would require a full 160,000 merits. It is extremely precious, and of course the effect is extremely amazing. The Taoist cultivator can be more in line with one's own way, Ascension's understanding of the Tao. If the cultivator can swallow this pill, not to mention, it will refining all the medicine power of this medicine pill in 1 month, and it will be able to break through all bottlenecks and make it smoothly enter the next realm, light realm. This 9-rank elixir was enough to save her 10 years of hard cultivation with the nationwide sect leader system. It was not uncommon. Thinking of this, Zhang Lucy's bit of resentment caused by the shabby jade slip map that didn't understand what it was, also disappeared without a trace. After just waiting for this mission, with the merits and spirit treasures in her hands, Good Fortune Pill, she is 1 level ahead of the players of the same generation. It's just the 3rd on the 2 lists and the 4th on the 1. This reward is so rich. I don't know what precious rewards the 2 people who are still above me have. Zhang Lucy looked at the 2 names at the top of the leaderboard, his eyes flowed. Xiao Feng is 2nd in the 3 rankings. 1st on the 3 lists, Li Fan. Ings. 1st on the 3 lists, Li Fan. Ings. 1st on